Get off the goddamn fence. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another week of Get Off the Damn Fence. I'm Larry Caution, here as I am each and every week by co-host Justin Harris. What's going on, Justin?
I need a catchphrase when you throw it over. I'm gonna come up with one. It's on a to-do list.
Here you go. And Calvin Thomas, what's going on, CT? How you feeling tonight?
What's going on Monday night? We couldn't even wait much longer. That brings it to you a day early.
That's right. We are here a day early, but not a dollar short. We're talking all the latest in sports. Thanks for joining us tonight. Be sure to share the live. Let everybody know that we are on here on a Monday night. Currently, Monday Night Raw is on live from Baltimore tonight. So you be like, oh, Baltimore, you're not at the show? No, I'm not at the show because I'm a dedicated member of the Get Off the Damn Fist podcast. We want to make sure that we're here for you to give you coverage because we cannot film this week on Tuesday. So Monday night we are here. So we are lively, and of course, a lot of topics to get into. So we don't want to waste much time getting into what we got to talk about tonight. And of course, if we're going to talk about anything, the main topic of discussion right now in the world is the U.S. Olympics. I call it the U.S. Olympics, it's the World Olympics in Paris. The United States is the focus because we are Americans here. If you watch Shannon Sharp this last couple of days, clearly patriotism is at an all-time high. Some people are getting very worked up about these Olympics. The spirited debates are going on and on. I saw a meme last week, like, you complain about the U.S. all year round, but when the Olympics come around, baby, we wrapped in the flag, baby, because we are Team USA around here. And I think there's no better place to start, me personally, than with Simone Biles. This young lady has, been a sensation for the past. She did not perform in the last Olympics, but 2 Olympics prior, she set records, and now this year she made herself the most decorated U.S. gymnast of all time. So hats off to her. So a lot of people concentrating on the negative. I want to concentrate on the positive first, and the great contribution that Simone has brought to the sport, the eyeballs she has brought to it. She has captivated the world. And I think if this is her last Olympics, and she hinted at a couple that the next Olympics is in LA, there's a chance that she might come back. But if this is her last Olympics, this is her song swan. I think this is really has shown a resiliency to come back from injury, from all the things she suffered with the allegations, the scandal with the doctor, maybe molesting different women on the team and harassing them. I mean, she went through so many mental health issues. I just want to tip my hat and salute one of the greatest Olympians of all time, and that's Simone Biles. Calvin, your thoughts on Simone and the things she's done, not just this year, but overall?
She's a GOAT. There's no other way to say it. She is the GOAT in her sport. When you have moves named after you and you're still actively competing at a high level, what more can you say? When you get that hater face against from your competition because they know they can't beat you, you are the GOAT. She deserves.
Oh, you saw that picture too, huh?
Yeah, I saw the video. I saw the video.
Oh, you saw the video. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I saw the still shot. Go ahead.
Yeah. But I'm saying she's a GOAT. She's the greatest of all time in her sport. I hope she comes back. Now, I hope she comes back and performs in 4 years in LA, just because it is in the US. I don't think that anything she does in LA, be it win gold or not even medal at all, can tarnish her legacy, can tarnish her reputation because of everything she's done over the course of 8 years since 2016 in Rio, I believe, the Olympics were in Rio. She is the GOAT. I just want to give her flowers, give her props, how she's carried Team USA from like that previous storyline that how I believe it was Dr. Nesser, Larry Nesser, I believe his name, how he tarnished that legacy, how he misled those women, how he just performed and inexcusable acts, and how they turned that into what is now the legacy of the women's gymnastics team and Simone Biles, who leads that team. I just want to give her flowers and make sure she knows she's appreciated, and even when we may get into this a little bit later, the podium, the bowing, which I didn't have a problem with, but apparently other people did, even a current Raven did. I haven't saw the video of his comments, I just read them, and some things went around about that. But to me, she can do no wrong. She is the GOAT in her sport. Her legacy is that of greatness.
Champion.
That's all I said. Yeah, gold medalist.
What's your thoughts on Simone?
I think she left a lot out there. I think she left a lot to be desired. I'm gonna hold her to a high standard, and when she fell, I have to give her some. I'm just talking, guys. What am I supposed to say about Simone Biles, man? She's great. Like you guys, you guys said everything. I'm just adding on to basically what you guys are saying. There's no way that you can be highly critical of this individual. Like she does everything right. When she take time off for her mental health, and she stood on that. And she knew how good she was, and she knew she could have competed at a high level, even
and dominated.
For her, she still could have maybe ended up with silver or bronze or whatever the case may be in the last Olympics. But she stood down, and all she did was just come back 3 to 4 years later and continue to dominate. So it wasn't like it was just a misstep or anything like that. She went through what she went through. She's a much better person for herself. It clearly shows. When people ask her questions and stuff like that, she tells you how she feels. She stands on everything that she believes in, and I'm truly here for it. I'm truly here for her. She's a glowing example of what I don't want to say this, but it is what it is. What a black woman should be. She bodies it all, from being a stand-up person. She's, like I said, she stands behind what she believes in. She's trailblazing the new age, what it is to be a new age wife in today's society and things like that. She's balancing both with an NFL husband and everything like that. Sure. And he's just as supportive, and people have a problem with him being supportive of her. Like it's crazy, but we're not going to go too far into that. But like I said, it's just she's an embodiment of what it is to be a highly successful person today. And she's at the top of her game, and if she comes back, it'll just be for our benefit.
Yeah,
because she has nothing else to show. She has nothing else to prove to anybody other than herself. So it's been a wonderful ride if it is the end. And you can just tell by her teammates and when her teammates go towards her and show her nothing but gratitude and things like that. There's no animosity amongst these young women. They love each other, and it shows amongst their teamwork and things like that. She's just a stand-up person, man. And like I said, I'm glad to be a part of it some kind of way just by witnessing it.
And watching her very closely, she's super intense. You know what I mean? If you watch some of the meets in between, when it's her turn, some of the other young ladies will be talking, having conversation. Mm-hmm. She keeps that serious face on, baby. And people might misinterpret that as, she's standoffish or aloof. No. When you're that high level athlete, like at the top of the game, we ain't talking about no just any old body. We talking Jordan status. We talking Kobe's. We talking those type of athletes that lock in. And when you're in the zone like that, yeah, you ain't just gonna be walking around giggling and chuckling with everybody. You know what I mean? You in the zone. So I'm not judging her off of what's her body language when she not like they just nitpick on everything, but. Again, we've said all that can be said, could be more. But one thing I do want to touch on is just this particular week. An example, she finished with the silver on the floor routine. And a lot of people, were like, whoa, Simone. Look, she lost in an event that she's not that great at. I mean, that she's, tremendous at. Floor, we know she has moves named after her. So it was an anomaly that she lost this one. But she still finished with the silver. Was sensational. One loss against someone who I've been watching. This young lady from Brazil is bad. You know what I mean? So it's not like, and she beat her once last week. So we saw that. So I think this young lady, she's going to be phenomenal for years to come. But Simone is more like a passing the torch because her teammates, very good. We've been watching some rising stars this last week. Also, we saw her fall off the balance beam. So people looked at that like, oh, Simone lost a step. This lady has won 5 gold medals in these Olympics alone. Like, come on, man. Like, silver? You added silver. Oh, woohoo. She had a silver. Like, that's the level of greatness you're getting, judged at. So it's just, when you're judging yourself against ghosts, what else? What is there is she can't chase nothing. She's the top. Justin, what are your thoughts on some of the criticism she's been getting just for a couple of slip-ups this last week?
Like I said, we live in a media-driven world, so we can't just go by just all positive thoughts. Then what are we going to write about? That's just the world we live in, right? So she showed any chinks in her armor, we're going to magnify it, times 45 with, and it's just it is what it is. And like I said before, it's just who am I to nitpick anything she does at this point? So you brought it back around, but I was just joking when I said all that earlier. But yes, people are making those points and things like that, and it's just what are you doing? Like
Sure.
are you bringing are you doing 5 for 5 on your reviews at work? Probably not. So it is what it is, man. It's just someone got to hate on something, and that's just the culture that we live in, unfortunately.
Calvin.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, you saw the excitement when I believe it was Jordan Childs that's who got the bronze.
Yes, that's the bronze.
Yeah,
she was pumped, baby.
Yeah, but you can see just the excitement. I don't know if it was because she was from Brazil or it was her top competitor and she was able to succeed.
It's a lot of mutual respect between them two.
When you have that level of competition and you view someone as your peer because you see all the hard work they put in, and all the hard work you put yourself in, you can be happy for them. I don't see that as a loser mentality or anything like that. And I'm far from a participation trophy kind of person. I think you got to work for whatever you get, and if you beat somebody 100 times out of 100. You just do that because they can't beat you, and that's that. But just to see that mutual respect that they had for each other, I think that's what competition is all about. And I hold no grudges towards anything she's done. This woman has dominated gymnastics for the last 12 years. You can look at someone as your competitor, someone who's seen you and put the work in to be on your level and give them their flowers. There's nothing wrong with that.
And people got to understand, they don't just compete in the Olympics. These people see each other, in the world championships, different preliminaries around the world. Like you grow a camaraderie. Right now, you got your country's flag on your back, but they just compete to compete. You know what I mean? And you grow. I don't care who you are and what sport it is. People off the mat. People off the court. People off the field. And you're happy when other people do well, especially someone with the same color of your skin. You know what I mean? In a sport that used to be dominated by people that didn't look like us. So either way, I think this is great for the sport. And, the Chinese used to dominate this. You know what I mean? Like the Russians used to dominate gymnastics. The all-time leader, I think, is the Russian. And right now, Russia's not even in the Olympics right now. So again, to see, USA, black athlete, Brazil, black athlete at the top, come on, that's great. And I like the little Asian American young lady on the Team USA. She's been Sunny Lee. Yeah, she's been impressive too. So I'm not knocking her. I'm just saying, to see a picture like that we just had on the screen a second ago. Look at that, man. That's great. You know what I mean? Those are 3 black athletes, and it's great to see. Anyway,
what about our edges though?
Chill out. She said that humidity, baby. That humidity got her. That's what she said. Let's move on to some other greatness in this Olympics. And gotta tip our hat to Noah Lyles, man. The man called his shot. He said what he was going to do. He said them Jamaicans, they've been dominating, but I'm coming, baby. And now he's declared the fastest man in the world. Now, let's call it what it was. It was a photo finish, dog. I mean, it was a photo finish, but a win is a win. And in Olympic rules, the rule states your torso must cross the line. Not your toe, not your hand, your torso. And if you looked at the photo, it was close, but Noah's torso was the first to cross the line, and he won. And congratulations. He beat that boy from Jamaica. A strong finish for a U.S. champion, and now he's carrying gold. Justin, your immediate thoughts when you saw that?
No. You
want the back clean up? Because I know Calvin.
I want to see our fellow Jamaican go ahead on and speak his mind. Please go ahead, Calvin.
First of all, let me.
Why you hate this man?
I know. First of all, let me say this. At that semifinal heat, I had the memes lined up. I had them lined up at that semifinal heat when old boy walked him down and looked to the right of him. And so looked to the left of him. I had the memes lined up. But he won go. And look, I don't care. Photo finish, 5/100ths of a second. Don't care about none of that. If you win, you win. It came down to a photo finish. We had to wait that 5 or 10 seconds. Props to Noah Lyles win the 100. Hopefully he does the same in the 200. I had the memes lined up, though. I'm not going to say I didn't. I had them lined up. But I'm going to give him props for talking the talk and then walking the walk. So I'm going to give him props for that. I can't hate on it. I still don't like what he said, but if he's a showman, if he used that to pump himself up, use that to get notoriety, which got him more endorsements, which got more eyes on him, I'm not upset because you backed it up. So that's all I got to say.
I can't believe you hated on your
Copped
fellow
out.
DMV brother, man. It's okay though. It's
I wasn't the
okay.
only one.
With that being said, shout out to the boy Noah. He did exactly what he's supposed to do. We had a history of actually dominating the sport. Y'all remember the Michael Johnson errors and stuff like that when we was coming up. So, we took a good 20-year hiatus from being number one. Shout out to Justin Gatlin.
Justin Gatlin, the steroid user. That's right.
No, we're not talking about that. So with that being said,
I don't want to get it. Allegedly, wasn't that Tyson Gay? Am I mistaken?
The Jamaicans had a stronghold over this event of being the fastest man in the world. And Noah just took it back. And we appreciate that. And like I said, if you can continue it and then do the relays as well, we can just take all that right on back. And it's just, it is what it is. It's an American feeling that this young black brother is doing what he need to do for himself and for the country. So nobody else can do it. So shout out to him. And I just got nothing but love for the boy. He actually, on a side note, I think he has multiple ailments mentally. I think he suffered from a lot of stuff, ADD, and a lot of others. Like he has a list of things that he actually suffers from. Yeah. So he and I don't want to say anything wrong.
Yeah, I get it.
But with that being said, he overcame a lot. He overcame all those things in order to be the fastest in the world. So that's an amazing story. I wish he changed his hair from time to time. I don't like the beads thing that he has or the paint on the nails but I'm gonna let him live his life.
Hey, D Wade loves it. D Wade loves it.
I did not know he's from the DMV. I'll say that. Didn't know that.
Yeah, he's from Virginia.
I'll give it say he must be from PG. I was gonna give him PG, and I don't know the situation just from looking from afar. But why is his father never getting any screen time? Don't really. I heard
I saw him run over there and hug his father after.
I thought that was his mother and his girlfriend.
He went to his mother first, and then he went over to the other side where his father was at. I know they're not together.
I didn't know.
No, Calvin. That's media. What you're saying is correct.
Yeah.
And Larry, what you said is correct. They are clearly this Olympics has a certain agenda for some kind of reason. There's been a lot of questionable performances and things like that, and we're going to get into some with Sha'Carri right after this. But they didn't show him with his father and with the extra embracing and things like that. And his father's been right there the whole entire time, if I'm not mistaken. So with that being said, they could be a brother. Agenda. But
he was standing right next to his father.
I know. I'm saying I didn't know that until I saw a picture of it. I didn't even see the video. I saw.
If you go on Peacock, they did like a feature on him, and that's why I saw that his father was in the feature. So again, I get it. Of course, track mothers get all the attention if the family not together. So his father was there, so that's good. Let's move over to a story that really has taken. We just earlier now just talked about Simone Biles winning silver, and that being such a great accomplishment, given that she's won so many gold. Yeah, you stumped your toe once, whatever. But Sha'Carri, we know the story how she didn't make the team last year, or was withheld last Olympics because of drug tests. I wasn't able to compete, and she made the team this year. Was out there in the prelims, looking strong, looking good, but she came up short. But to me, this is a bigger story. Look, she got a silver medal, guys, in her first Olympics. I think that's a great accomplishment. To assume that she was going to win these Olympic Games beforehand is saying that you thought before these games started that she was going to beat those Jamaican athletes. So they have been the fastest in the world. The last, I don't know how many Olympics we talking now from a women's perspective. And all of a sudden, something very mysterious has been happening over the past week where one by one, most of the fastest women in the world from Jamaica have been pulling out and just withdrawing from the race. And I still have yet to get a full, clear picture of exactly why this is happening. Now, I know in each case there's been, a hamstring, or this person's injured, or this person wasn't. No. Something's not right. Did something happen where someone got COVID? Did it spread throughout the entire team? Is there a sickness that that had them be pulled? There has to be more to this, where you have so many Jamaican athletes pulled from these Olympic Games voluntarily. Have you looked into this, Calvin, and what have you been able to find out?
So, what I've heard, I don't know if Justin's heard the same thing. I've heard two different scenarios. One in which one of the Jamaican athletes, the Jamaican athletes and Sha'Carri are not staying in Olympic Village. They are staying elsewhere.
They had to walk all the way around, something like that.
Yeah, that's part of it. But supposedly one of the Jamaican athletes was sick. They never specifically said COVID, but it had to be COVID related.
Yeah.
And that happened the day of the 200 prelims. Mm-hmm. And the individual that was sick was also running in the 100.
Gotcha.
And because Sha'Carri was staying with them, that led to tests and different things just to make sure she wasn't affected. Because, like I said, she wasn't staying in the Olympic Village, but she was then coming into the Olympic Village. That was initially what I heard. Then it was the whole story about them not being able to enter into a certain entrance because they were late, and you have to walk around. Now, somebody said you had to walk around like a couple miles, and someone said that's a couple hundred feet, regardless.
Yeah.
But they were still running late, so they didn't have time to stretch prior to. But the Jamaican athlete didn't run, but then Sha'Carri run. So I've heard multiple stories about what's occurring. I don't know if Justin, if you want to hop in and because you heard more,
I think
you heard something different.
Put together some dots, but I still have open dots for myself after I finish. But I do believe one of them was injured. Now I think one of them was
it injured or was it sickness though? Because I heard
that's what I was saying.
Could have been both. That's just, who knows? Okay,
that's what I thought. It was COVID.
It's questionable. The main 100-meter sprinter, I forget her name, but Shericka Jackson
in the world.
Shericka Jackson.
Yep.
Her and Sha'Carri was so when you bring up this walk to the facility that they had to do, and people say a mile or whatever, we don't know the time length it takes. They were saying it takes about an hour to get to point A to point B. So you have to think you are a sprinter. You are going from you got 100 meters and you have to do it within 10 seconds, just about, right? Walking an hour is very tedious, very strenuous on your body, before you perform Olympics sprint, like the fastest. So the reason why they saying Sha'Carri actually went with it is because she couldn't afford another another pullout of the Olympics. Shericka Jackson, the other one that won medals before, she had the ability to say, it's not worth me not placing, I should say. If I didn't get my proper stretching, if I didn't get my proper warm-ups and things like that, no, it's not worth it for me. However, Sha'Carri is different. She didn't win anything. All her sponsors and everything else probably was giving her that ultimatum, like, you need to perform in this Olympics, right? Like, we're going to give you these endorsement deals and things like that, assuming, barring any major injury that we physically see, you need to show up at the Olympics some kind of way. Yeah. So when you have that kind of pressure, you say that you shrug your shoulders and you go with it. Which is she did clock in at one of her slowest times. When it comes to that 100 meters, she can run a 10-6, 10-5. She ran like a 10-7, 10-8. That I know that's a difference of like tenths of a second, but that's a huge difference when it comes to sprinting. She has shown that she can do it faster. But shout out to the winner from the St. Lucia. Yeah, that was the first time they ever won a medal. Doesn't matter that she was also born in Jamaica, but she claims St. Lucia. That's neither here nor there. The fact of the matter is she looked great doing it. So I don't know if this was her only performance. If not, then I hope I see it in the future joints. But Sha'Carri got another shot. I think she's on a relay team, if not the 200. I know there's still more for her, but it's shaky. There's a lot of shakiness going on with these Olympics, man.
But you said I believe she was selected for the 4x100. I don't even know if she would have been the favorite in 200 because Gabby Thomas was phenomenal. The way she just left.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. That's why I don't think she's in the 200. To be honest with you,
she's not. I read she qualified 4th in U.S. trials. They took the top 3, I believe. So
she needed to win the 100 to qualify automatically for the 200.
Yeah.
If you're automatic bid, if you win the 100, you can go right into the 200.
Yeah, but she should be on the 4x100. So she still has one more chance to earn gold. I think that's Wednesday or Thursday, I believe.
Yeah, it's Wednesday. Yeah, but I just find some of the shenanigans I've been reading about with these Paris Olympics to be very interesting, including we got a story today about Serena Williams talking about she was denied entry into a restaurant, couldn't go on top of the rooftop to eat with her family. I've been hearing some different discrimination claims from different athletes saying that the security over there is just very, very stringent against people of darker skin. So I don't know. Paris is it's a very, very well-known international traveling spot, and a lot of people say they go there and enjoy. I do wonder, is it just the heightened sensibilities? But that whole gate thing just really is shaky to me. You know what I mean? Especially if these people are saying they were using the gate before to get in, and then all of a sudden the rules just change. I don't know. It seemed like some nefarious acts were in play here.
Oh, we definitely won't get a 30 for 30 on coming from it. ESPN going to find a way to get money off of this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So far, how you all have been viewing the games for Paris? Do you think this venue has been a good place for the particular competition? And overall, does this leave a bad taste in your mouth just about some of these stories that have been coming out? Start with you, Calvin.
Just I'm not including the last Olympics just because of COVID, and you really weren't able to see the city, and you weren't able to hear some of these stories just because of there were no spectators.
Everything was so strict. Yeah,
people was competing. It's disheartening to hear some of these things, especially as we gear towards the end of this Olympics, especially when we're off to such a strong start.
Yeah, strong.
Just embracing the city. You see pop culture. Not influential pop culture sensations there. You see Snoop there regularly. You see, he's at this event. He's been interviewed by NBC, and then start hearing things trickle out as we get to the end. It kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth just for the city and for this particular Olympic Games. Like, this is going to be the story, and you don't want this to be the story when you have so many great Olympic performances from Katie Ledecky to Gabby to Simone Biles, to Team USA, to, we have all of these, even Noah Lyles, we have all these different stories, but yet and still, this is going to end up dominating the storyline when we talk about the 2024 Olympics. And it's sad that we don't have just these stories of these athletes representing their countries, achieving a lifelong goal, winning gold. And now we're starting to talk about this as these stories trickle out. And some of you hear more and more. To start with Sha'Carri, now it's going to Serena. You can only wonder what's going to happen next. And like you said, there's been little things that start to trickle out, but now as the individual that they're happening to gets bigger and bigger in personality and a bigger and bigger following, nice to take notice of it. So
don't forget what we saw in tennis. You know what I mean? That started all of this. You know what I mean? And that was a story last week. So Justin, what's your thoughts?
Every now and then we all need a wake up call. And I believe all those athletes still got their Negro wake-up call. So, you're still a Negro in the coop. That's what Kanye said. It's just, it is what it is. It's like I said, these are the types of things. This is actually like the type of places where you make your stand about certain things like that. Mm-hmm. If you really feel like that you're being some type of injustice or something like that,
take advantage of the state.
This is where you're supposed to take advantage of that said situation. So if it's to that point where they are feeling like that and it's like that blatant, then they need to go out and make a little bit more noise than what they're doing. All we hearing is hearsay. We're hearing bits and pieces. So it's even hard to advocate from afar because we're not there. So you don't want to be loud and then wrong. So if they're in ground zero and there's issues like that, then unfortunately that's when you need to say something. That's when you make your stand on the biggest stage.
Agreed. So Team USA has been doing pretty good, but let's move our focus to the world of basketball. And this past week we saw the USA kind of dominate. You know what I mean? Really they weren't challenged, but they have Brazil coming up here, And Brazil supposedly is supposed to be offering a pretty good challenge against Team USA. Have you seen anything over the past week that would lend you to believe that anybody can topple this team? And have you liked the rotations that Steve Kerr has been putting out there? Have you liked some of the comments he's been making about his rotations and who he's decided to play, who he's decided to sit? Let's talk a little Team USA men's basketball for a minute. Justin, I'll start with you. What have you seen over the past week that's caught your eye, and what do you think you look for US to run the table moving forward?
I still have issues with the substitutions. I don't like going into a game saying I'm gonna sit one person or two people, whatever the case may be. I don't like, and it's, forget politics, forget all that other stuff. It's suppose you're wrong. Suppose you said, hey, you know what, we don't need Embiid for this game. Oh snap! You know what? Their big is their center is injured or something like that. Oh man, we could have used Embiid would have had a cakewalk against him instead of Anthony Davis and or Bam or whatever the case would be. So I just don't like the pre-notion, the pre-game. Hey, you sit out this time. You never know what matchups will bring. You never know. Oh, if I put this person in, oh, this is actually working better than what I thought. Let's go with this. It might be in a situation where you really might need to make a substitution. Are you then going to go and then have someone come off the bench after you told them that you're not going to be playing? Oh, but stay ready though, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's too much, and he demanded that from his team, but I don't see him subbing out head coaching. I don't see Eric Spoelstra taking over. I don't see Ty Lue taking over for a quarter or whatever. So it's just it's just. They could do it if they wanted to. I'm just saying, put your money where your mouth is. They can do it too. So it's tough for me. It's Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr is Steve Kerr, and I guess he's his own man, and he's going to do what he's going to do, and everyone else has to fall in line. But yes, that's my issues with it. Do I think that Brazil's going to be a problem? Absolutely not. We're going to crush them. I have no issues with that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, just don't go with everything with a preconceived notion of how things are going to go in case things might be different.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand. I agree. I think you have to keep your options open. I think you've settled into your rotation. And actually, Embiid's probably the one that shouldn't receive as much playing time, whether him being out of shape or just coming off his injury. He's looked the worst out of the 12 players that they have on Team USA. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean you don't need him. We will need him eventually at some point, but he's the one that needs to earn more playing time, in my opinion. Not Tatum, not Halliburton. I'm not saying they should receive as much playing time, as other starters, but at this point, it's when to go home. So you got whoever's hot, whoever's whoever's rebounding the best, whoever's passing the ball the best, whoever's shooting the best, scoring the best. Those are the ones that need to get the minutes. It's when to go home at this point. You're it's one game, unless you make the bronze medal game, whatever. But it's what you lose and you're done. So you have to play your best team, your best players going forward, the players that are playing the best. Anthony Edwards, KD should be getting a ton of minutes off that bench, maybe even starting if you don't want to play Tatum. But I think at this point, you've had enough games to get your rhythm, to know your rotation, to know who's playing well together, who plays well together, who needs the ball in certain situations. And I think at that point, this is where that shows, and you start to play those players more. And we should see that tomorrow.
Interesting. I still say that I like some of the rotations he runs out there, but I just don't. Devin Booker has been sensational in these games. If you've been really paying attention, I thought that he really stepped up. But to me, I still take issue with some of the minutes he's giving to the veterans. I think that some of these guys don't need to be playing as much as they are, and he can be mixing this up a little bit more. Hopefully, is no major injuries occur, knock on wood. But we saw Drew Holiday get injured the other day. He's going to miss some time, so that's extra minutes for somebody else. I would hate for a major star to really get hurt because, I don't know, they asked him to play, and he's just folding to their whims. I'm not sure, but to me, the coach had to be the coach at some point. And I don't think that you're doing certain things because you think you can get away with it. You're not going to tell LeBron James how many minutes you're going to play, but you're going to sit a Joel Embiid for an extended period of time for his own well-being. I don't buy that. It's something going on here. But again, we'll continue to monitor it. I just hope a major injury does not happen to one of these players. There's no reason Steph Curry is still out there late in the game. It's just no reason.
Now I agree because point differential doesn't matter. It's just win a game. You win a game by 1, you win by 30. It matters the same at this point.
I get what you were saying early in the first week, but yeah, like you say, just win.
Yeah,
just win. Play your best players until they don't need to be in the game no more. Like it's a blowout. Anyway, so we really need to get into the women's side because honestly, they can just roll the basketball out there at this point. Like, what are we doing? What are we really doing? Like the difference between what we see on a national basis in the United States or in WNBA, the players they represent, and what is the rest of the world has is night and day. Yeah. These games are unwatchable. I mean, I literally tried to sit down and watch the game the other day. I just was like, why am I wasting my time? Like, that tells you the level of play the WNBA definitely has, and that's a big difference from years ago. Man, it's pathetic. Have y'all watched any of that stuff? Like, it's embarrassing.
It's definitely tough to watch, especially on the rebounding aspect when you're just seeing Brittany Griner not even jump and getting offensive rebounds. Asia Wilson getting rebounds at will. I think when Chelsea Gray went like 5 of 8 from 3 yesterday or the other day, last game.
Just ridiculous.
They get anything that they want to at any point in time. The talent discrepancy is far and beyond any other sport.
Let me say this. This is not helping to grow the game. It's not. Nobody's watching it. You're not watching it, Calvin. Be real. Who is going out of their way to watch this?
It's helping the women's team to put more odds in when they come home, but internationally, no one's watching because we know what the final result's going to be. The only question is about how many points. The only question is who's going to score the most points, and gambling aspects if you're into that. But other than that, are you going to watch anything besides the gold medal game? Maybe the last 2 minutes just to see them celebrate because we know what the final outcome is going to be. 4 days before it happens.
They might even cancel this from the Olympics at some point. If it's not competitive.
They were talking about canceling boxing.
That's what I mean. Like, what is there left, Justin?
So, just one thing. It was Jackie Young that went off from 3.
That's what I said, right? Oh,
you said Chelsea Gray. Okay. Oh, good. It don't make a difference, to be honest with you. It could have been either one. The fact of the matter is no one's watching and it's not competitive. But if you had Caitlin Clark, people be watching just to see her play. I'm just saying. Like,
maybe do a 3-point exhibition or something in the middle.
That's what we would have saw, and we'd been like, you still have been talking about it some kind of way, like, oh, how has Caitlin done amongst the rest of the superstars that's on the team?
How they blended.
It would have been a storyline. So now
but they still would have been winning by 40. So who would care?
It doesn't matter. Okay. Now we don't have that.
We have nothing.
Now we're just watching blowouts, and it's not captivating. So it is what it is. There's nothing else to be said about women's basketball now.
Sorry, man.
We'll see how it goes once the pressure gets on when it's come to the medal games and things like
pressure.
that. But I mean, pipes. It is what it is. We got to see, but they know what's going on. They know what to do. So
I could argue
about 20.
It should be.
I could argue that the Olympics is probably the worst thing that could ever happen to the WNBA. If you really think about it, they had the whole stage to themselves. Nobody was really people was captivated by the WNBA for the last few months, like really paying attention. The All-Star game was hot. They beat the Olympic team, All-Star team for WNBA. Things were going good. Everything was rolling, and now all of a sudden everything on pause. And then when you come back, guess what's going to be number one storyline in the world? The NFL. So they had a chance. They need to move when the WNBA season is, man. This has to change. Go ahead.
I disagree with your statement only because if they would have kept playing, this dominating story would have been the Olympics versus the WNBA season, even with Caitlin Clark playing.
No. I'm not saying they need to keep playing. I'm saying that the season needs to move. I would even say that I would move the season. Now, I know they start basically right after the NCAA tournament. but it's not that like what can you do? You have to try to escape.
I got something. So you bring up a good point, and I was just thinking, like, I know why the men's switched from collegiate players to the dream team, because we got beat, and he was like, well, we don't want our collegiate athletes getting beat by grown men, so we're going to send our grown men, and we're going to see it's much different.
But why do women do it?
Did that happen for the women's too? Like, I'm gonna have to do some quick research behind that. But
I don't think so.
If that didn't happen, then to your point, Larry, because you're right, they did have some momentum, and now it's gone.
Keep going.
Yeah, that could have kept going. So at least we could have had something else to talk about, and the collegiate players probably could have did just as good against them.
The way they've been rolling,
that is. You know what I'm saying? That could be a true statement. If we're beating them by 20 and it's a smooth 20, they're not even really struggling to get this 20, then maybe it would have been some captivating games with the collegiate players. Man, but to the point where not losing though, they could have still been kind of winning. Like it's interesting. I'll have it by next show just to get some clarification on that. But yeah, I don't know why both men and women decided to make that move. I know why the men, but I'm not sure about the women.
And when do the WNBA playoffs typically start? Like around
usually September-ish. Because the only reason I remember their finals was in October of last year. It was like
when football season is really getting. I mean, in baseball playoffs is really hot in October.
But then you can
running up against the NFL.
But you can have specific days. You get specific days dedicated to WNBA. So if you got Sunday and Monday, Thursday, Sunday, Monday football, and baseball playoffs are Tuesday and Wednesday, you can have a Friday, or you can have a Saturday evening. You can have a dedicated
playoffs don't work like that. They play every day.
As you get more into the playoffs, when you get to the league championship series and the World Series.
Yeah. So. I'm just saying they really need to rethink this schedule, man, because WNBA need to take advantage of that time period where you only have maybe the NBA playoffs and they're not playing every day at that point, and maybe baseball. And look, baseball is a long season. You don't really get to compete. If you watch Major League Baseball, most likely you ain't really cared that much about the WNBA. So you're trying to go after that NFL time, that demographic where they're not dominating everything. That's when the WNBA should be at its highest.
Is it disrespectful to have the WNBA season concurrent with the NBA season? I mean, not as long, not 82 games. They play the same amount of games, but it's
the only issue is they use the same arena.
It's a winter sport, though. But I mean, you can have the game before. I'm not trying to say they're JV to varsity or anything like that, but you can have the game the same day. So
afternoon and evening. If
you have an LA game, or if you have a Saturday night game in LA, you can have a Saturday afternoon game in LA for the Sparks, something like that. I think it's a way that you can get it done. And in most cases, you're not even using the main arena because you're using smaller stadiums as well.
Well, now they are, yeah. So they tried at first to use the big arenas, but they couldn't sell them out. So they had to move to the smaller facilities. So I get that. I'm just saying, I think if you're going to grow the popularity of this game, you have to shift to make it more accessible to most people longer at the best parts of the year. And you don't want to it's the news cycle you're trying to capture, not just about when you want to be the number one thing that people are talking about that particular day. And if you're going up, go ahead.
Just to back that up, like if I don't know if y'all been watching the sports shows. Oh my God, it's 5 segments on the Dallas Cowboys quarterback. Like
because that's all they got to talk about.
They're struggling right now.
Yeah.
So if you
Dallas,
were to
New York Jets
play right now, then you would have
something else to talk about.
A strong segment or two.
Yep.
They was already doing it when amongst everything else. It
exactly.
Would have been like headline almost leading because baseball isn't leading anything. Yep. You know, it's NFL off-season talks, and it could have been WNBA right behind it.
And that's what I'm saying.
That is a missed opportunity.
And because it's got that Q factor to it, that cool factor, WNBA could take that spot. Whereas baseball is only but so much you can talk about the day-to-day minutia of baseball. But you can talk about these storylines of the WNBA all the time.
But is this a problem in a non-Olympic year? If this was a non-Olympic year with Caitlin Clark, with Angel Reese, is that an issue?
No, that's what I'm saying. I think I'm not even blaming the Olympics. It's only 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Like,
but their break will be a month. So will they have that?
That's the problem.
Will they have that same heat when it comes back in 2 weeks and then all of a sudden it's also preseason
Well,
football.
If
and you got
we
fantasy
if we
drafts.
realize this, then you know
They know it.
damn well the sponsors is realizing this too,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they're the ones that make your
Yeah.
season at the end of the day.
And
So-
it's up to them to put some juice behind it. You know what I mean? Come up with some marketing campaigns, get it out there, get it in front of as many eyes as possible. And this new TV deal they signed will help them, I think, in the long run, because it behooves Sunday Night Football to promote. You know what I mean? NBC promote the WNBA's product that's going to be on their station. You know what I mean? Like that cross promotion has to be a part of this as well. All right, we belabor that. Let's move on. This is some NFL action. A lot went on this past weekend, and one of the major things that happened was the Pro Football Hall of Fame new induction class. Congratulations to all those who were inducted over this past year, this past weekend. Some of these guys were very deserving, and we're going to go through this list one by one. And, you know, we've all watched football for a very long time, most of our lives, and this class here we've seen from the very beginning. You know, we were there when Dwight Freeney came into the league, seeing his whole career play out in front of us. Devin Hester took the league by storm for the Chicago Bears as an excellent return man. Andre Johnson dominating down there in Houston, Texas, was the only player they had forever. You know what I mean? With bum quarterbacks, with a David Carr, and we watched him make himself a Hall of Fame wide receiver, which is phenomenal if you really think about how bad the Houston Texans were over that tenure. And then you got Julius Peppers, who we saw play the bulk of his career in Carolina. Congratulations to him. And then Patrick Willis, who some say modeled his game after a middle linebacker that we just saw going to who we have represented here in Baltimore, wears the same number, 52. Patrick Willis was a phenomenal middle linebacker for the San Francisco 49ers. One guy I want to highlight first is Mongo Steve McMichael. So pro wrestling fans might remember him as a member of the Four Horsemen. But Mongo, before that, was a phenomenal football player for the Chicago Bears, one of that 85 Bears defense. He was one of those anchors. He was one of those mean guys who could be counted upon to be dominant. He was one of the emotional leaders. And right now he's suffering from a degenerative disease that has him really, he can't even leave the house. He wasn't able to attend his own Hall of Fame ceremony. So it was one thing he was really wanting to work towards, and what a lot of his family and friends say he was holding on, because he's going to pass away pretty soon from this disease that's going to take his life, but he was holding on to see his induction into the Hall of Fame. So shout out to Mongo, man. Mongo was not a great wrestler, but he was a great personality, and again, member of the Four Horsemen. But let's start with you, Justin. Who stands out to you from this Hall of Fame class as someone who really deserved to get in your opinion? And who's someone who you think is a questionable pick, who you might think that I don't know if they really should have made it into the Hall, if you have one?
So Randy Grishai don't get no love from you, brother. You went through everybody else.
Couldn't even pronounce his name. I wanted
except for the Denver Broncos, one of their best linebackers of all time. But we're not going to focus on him because we didn't really watch him.
I didn't see him.
But that being said, all these guys are worthy of Hall of Fame notions.
Mm-hmm.
Dwight Freeney was a beast. Like it when it came to Peyton Manning, that was one side of the field. The other side of the field, it was led by Dwight Freeney. And then once Bob Sanders got healthy, they went to the Super Bowl and won it. So definitely a cornerstone to that team and everything. Andre Johnson, clearly there's wide receivers that's in the running of Hall of Fame statures. He just happened to he happened to get in when it was his time. There's a couple others that I think is probably a bit more deserving.
Who are those guys?
That's where I was going.
Because I'm confused.
That's where I was going.
Help me understand this. Was Steve Smith nominated this year?
No. He's eligible next year. No.
So it was just him then.
It was Torrey. It was him. It was Torrey Holt. It was. Those are the two that made it to be finalists.
The finalists.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, I'm cool with Andre Johnson. I got no issues. I don't really care about Torrey Holt. Yeah, Julius Peppers was a beast. Patrick Willis was. I have no issue with this. To be honest with you, I have zero issues. And I let me just say this real quick. Then I'm gonna give it to you, Calvin. Devin Hester making it is much deserved. I'm glad they appreciate that there is legitly even more so then than it is now, and that's a whole different situation now. But there is a third part of an NFL game, that is the special teams. And when we say, especially in our era, when we was coming up and we was really understanding football and things like that, you didn't want to kick to this dude. He literally had the other team fearful of him. When a team is fearful of you, I believe, and it's been years. He was even on Baltimore for a little bit. Like he did it throughout his whole career, and then he topped it off by doing it in the Super Bowl. Like it was like, yo, if Chicago, they got one thing going for them, that's the return game, and then he's going to bring them up the field, and then hopefully they can score after that point. No, he went and did it anyway. Shout out to Tony Dungy for doing that. I appreciate you, Tony Dungy, for making Devin Hester that dude. But that's my only thing. I'm glad they literally put him in just because he was one of the greatest return men, the greatest return man of all time, and we're not going to see a performance like that ever again because they keep tweaking and changing the kickoff rules and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, Kev, what's your issue?
So I take that back when I said about the receivers. So Torrey Holt, Steve Smith, Reggie Wayne were eligible.
I was right with Steve Smith. I believe Steve Smith should be over Andre Johnson.
I think personally. Reggie Wayne should be over all of them.
I agree.
Me personally.
And that's the problem that I have, that Reggie Wayne, Steve Smith, and Torrey Holt have been waiting to get in. And this is Andre Johnson, first year eligible or second year eligible? Mm-hmm. Torrey Holt's been retired since 2010, 2011. Reggie Wayne, 5-6 years. So they are all eligible. And I know there's a pecking order for receivers, and it's only going to get worse. So Fitzgerald's eligible next year. Julian Edelman, I think, is on the fence as well. Demaryius Thomas is an interesting case as well.
He's going to have to wait a little bit.
But that's my point. I think that like Reggie Wayne, Steve Smith, and even Torrey Holt should be in before Andre Johnson. And I think that if there's going to be a pecking order, there needs to be the deserving ones. And there are certain few players that deserve to be first ballot. I don't know if Andre Johnson is one of those players, especially getting in ahead of Reggie Wayne, Torrey Holt, and Steve Smith. That's the only problem I have. And next year, like it doesn't get any better because Eli's first ballot. Eli's definitely first ballot. Eli's gonna be first ballot. I don't agree. I agree with you. He's a Manning, and he beat Brady twice in the Super Bowl. That's all that matters.
That's gonna carry the day.
He's going to be first ballot. I think Yonder's eligible, but usually guards don't get in. Suggs is going to be interesting. I think he should be first ballot, but there's the pecking order. Luke Kuechly's going to get in next year as first ballot. So there's two first ballots. You got this log jam at receiver. You got Marshawn Lynch, which is interesting. Vinatieri's going to be first ballot as well. So it just keeps pushing back these receivers. And I know you're only allowing certain X amount of players in per year, but you have this log jam at receiver, and it's just going to get worse as they retire. So I think the receivers are dealt an injustice getting to the Hall of Fame.
All right, let me read some stats. Andre Johnson just got in, right? It was the second year on the ballot.
I can figure that out. I thought it was his first, but I can figure it out.
He got 1,062 catches, 1,400 yards receiving, 70 touchdowns. All right, great numbers. Not taking anything away from him. Torrey Holt now got 920 catches, 1,338 receiving yards, 74 touchdowns. So he got him beating yards and touchdowns. But he has about, 80 less catches? Okay, whatever. Steve Smith Sr., 1,031 catches, 14,731 yards, 81 touchdowns. Phenomenal numbers. So he got Andre Johnson beat. Andre Johnson only got 70 touchdowns. Steve Smith got 83. Steve Smith got 1,473 yards, Andre Johnson. So if that's the threshold, Steve Smith clears it. So he's deserving. And let's read Reggie Wayne's numbers. Phenomenal numbers. Almost 1,100 catches, 14,345 and 82 touchdowns. So that's more yards than Steve Smith. Right there with the touchdowns, off by one, and more catches. So how is Reggie Wayne not a Hall of Famer?
So are we going to talk about real competition or not? Oh,
and a Super Bowl.
Are we going to talk about real competition or not? Because I hear what you're.
I need to hear this argument.
Steve Smith does not have a Super Bowl. Reggie Wayne has a Super Bowl. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. So the one brought up Torrey Hawk. Okay. Super Bowl winner. Other one brought up Reggie Wayne. Super Bowl winner. Both played with a Hall of Fame quarterback and a great secondary, if not primary receiver, right along with him. And one of them had Marshall Faulk in the backfield,
which is why I give their stats even more respect. Because if you play with Marvin Harrison,
matters when it was just Steve Smith by himself in Carolina with Jake Delhomme. They didn't have the best ever Marshall Faulk in the backfield.
Steve Smith played more than a couple years.
He still won Triple Crown Award. He couldn't be stopped.
Period.
Nobody's
debating that.
Him himself is better than every receiver that you mentioned.
Steve Smith played with Cam Newton. Steve Smith then left there and went to Baltimore and played with Joe Flacco. He was
already on the downside of his
But I'm saying he added more stats. Which pads his Hall of Fame numbers is what the point I'm trying to make. He doesn't have a Super Bowl.
Wayne over him though. That's my problem. He was better than Reggie Wayne.
When?
Andre Johnson?
Every year of his career.
No, Reggie Wayne was phenomenal, and he had to play next to Marvin Harrison.
Did he ever win Triple Crown?
He had to split catches.
He had Marvin Harrison, Dallas Clark, Brandon Stokely. There was a year that all three of them had 1,000 yards.
And he still put up these numbers.
Competing with your own teammates for catches.
Did anyone ever win Triple Crown?
You get all the catches. Look at Keenan Allen's numbers. Those are numbers where you were the primary receiver. You just going gobble.
Did he lead the league in yardage or touchdowns?
Which one? Who? Reggie Wayne?
Reggie Wayne. Did he lead the league in that? What
year are we talking about? Anytime you saying?
You can pick a year. Did he ever lead the league in receiving yards?
This was Andre Johnson's third year on the ballot.
I would have to go back and look. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about
but
when you look at the totality of a man's career.
I know,
and that's great. That is, my debate isn't Steve Smith. My debate is Andre
personally,
Johnson.
I can't stand Steve Smith.
Mm-hmm. But my debate isn't Steve Smith. My debate isn't with Steve Smith, though. My debate is with Andre Johnson.
I hear you, but then you mentioned Reggie Wayne. I'm like, pause for a second because he had Peyton Manning behind him. He had Edgerrin James.
So your argument is you can't make the Hall of Fame if you play with other great players.
Not if everybody else is a Hall of Famer. Somebody can't make it, bro.
What do you mean somebody can't make it?
Marvin Harrison made the Hall of Fame. Peyton Manning is the top 5 greatest quarterback of all time. Edgerrin James made the Hall of Fame. So now Reggie Wayne got to make it too. Somebody had to be a result of everybody
Did
else.
His numbers not produce Hall of Fame worthy stats?
Some people numbers aren't going to be able to make it.
Did his numbers not talking about? Was his numbers not
numbers aren't going to be able to make it
on winning? Are you?
I'm saying certain people should be first ballot, certain people aren't. I'm not saying they aren't Hall of Famers. I just think it should be a pecking order.
Period. I'm saying Reggie Wayne should be a casualty of that.
Oh, that is bull. Wow. You can't even tell me a tangible reason why he wouldn't be a Hall of Famer.
I just gave you a tangible reason. He had Hall of Famers all the way around him. Who were you going to double?
Hold up. He didn't always play with Marvin. Marvin was a shell of himself for the latter half. When Reggie was in his prime, when Reggie was considered one of the best receivers in the league, Marvin was a secondary receiver. Yes, he was. Go back.
When they made the second Super Bowl, Marvin wasn't there, was he?
Marvin wasn't there the second time. No, he was not. He was a primary receiver. Dallas Clark was a shell of himself. I think Dallas might even left at that point. He had Brandon Stokely at that point.
And you still had Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning fell off the cliff at some point. Don't act like Peyton was always Peyton.
So it was just all Reggie Wayne now.
No. I'm saying you're trying to discredit Reggie saying he played with a bunch of great players. Jerry Rice played with great players. Yeah, Joe Montana and Steve Young.
Yeah,
Are we going to
Roger
discredit
Craig,
him now?
All of them.
Terrell Owens? Like, stop playing. Like, come on, man.
But we act like that doesn't make a difference. It does impact your performance.
I agree, but when you're a player like Andre Johnson,
if you would have gave Terrell Owens someone of a Joe Montana stature his whole career, he would have better numbers than Jerry Rice. It is what it is. But he didn't, so he suffered a little bit, and he still made it to be one of the greatest wide receivers. All I'm saying is that you have Hall of Fame teammates that does help your stats somewhat. It has no other choice.
You still got to produce, though. You still got to
produce.
No doubt. And I'm just saying, in this situation, when it comes to the receivers, one was by far better than the rest of them.
Who?
So you
by far better than the rest of these receivers.
How can you even, apart your list, to say such a thing? Steve Smith was good. I'm not taking nothing away from him. Who was his secondary receiver when he was in Carolina?
He didn't have one.
Who was
Musa Muhammad.
He didn't have one.
Musa Muhammad wasn't a good, solid second receiver.
No, not really. He was average. He was a possession receiver.
Okay, possession receivers. They take targets away.
You would never put Musa Muhammad in nobody's top whatever.
I'm not putting him in the top of nothing. I'm just telling you, don't act like he didn't play with nobody. And Carolina,
he didn't have the likes of a Marvin Harrison next to him.
And that's how he wanted it. And that's how he wanted it. He wanted the bulk of the receptions.
He just dealt with whatever he dealt with.
He wanted the bulk of the receptions.
Do you realize he was getting triple team against Seattle? And he said, you know what? Since y'all can't give me the ball this way, I'm going to be in special teams. And he took the kick back and scored that way. The man was unstoppable.
Not disrespecting
him. And he was like 5'2".
He was never the best receiver in the league. Never.
How do you win a triple crown and not be the best receiver in the league?
Still wasn't the best receiver in the league. What year was he ever
the best receiver in that league? Statistically, you're the best receiver today.
Tell me the year.
I don't know what year he won it, but he won it.
Tell me the year. And I'll tell you, Calvin Johnson was probably better than him that year too. Or Randy Moss. Or, what year was he better?
If you lead the league in everything, you are the best receiver that year. He
was better than Calvin Johnson.
We have to agree to it. Just like Cooper Kupp was, unfortunately, the best receiver a couple years ago because he couldn't be stopped.
No, that's the difference between having the best stats and being the best receiver. Like, it could be injury at quarterback. It could be whatever. I don't know what the circumstances of why I asked you what year was this.
So
I'll research it after the show.
When you lead the league in receiving yards, touchdowns, and receptions, that don't make you the best receiver.
That might mean you had nobody on your team. You just gobbled up a bunch of stats. Like, that don't mean you're the best receiver.
That is the most. Then what else can we go about it? Well, shit,
did it contribute to winning?
The best receiver of all time then because he got the most yards and the most touchdowns.
Did it contribute to winning? All right,
it's football. It's a whole team. What are you talking about?
I agree with that, but don't try to discredit.
You just changed the whole.
You try to take a shot at Reggie Wayne. I had no problem with Steve Smith. My argument was against Andre Johnson. Didn't I start this by saying I had no? My issue was with Andre Johnson.
And what I said was he should have been there over Steve Smith. And then I was told that Steve Smith was on the ballot, and then I was correct. Then Calvin came back and said he was. Then I went back to it and said, well, it should have been him. It should no way be Andre Johnson. Andre Johnson didn't have not nearly the type of season that Steve Smith had. It is what it is.
And I also think Steve Smith's attitude is part of the reason why he probably won't get in right away either.
That's part of it.
Yeah, asshole. That's just the bottom line. Like, his teammates are like
the media.
He treated Cam Newton like shit. Like,
it's football, man.
All right, and you got him out of a couple different locations.
They made T.O. wave, but actually made sure T.O. wasn't the first ballot Hall of Fame. You can make an argument.
Made him cry over it.
Yeah,
it is what it is. All right, but yeah, congratulations to all of them. I thought that Patrick Willis, I don't know, man. That one also great player, but was his career long enough to really say that?
If you're going to say that, then Luke Kuechly's going to get in next year. So it's similar.
I was going to say
similar players in a sense.
But Patrick Willis had more help. And per your argument, he had a Hall of Fame linebacker potentially next to most of his peak career. It was his peak years.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting.
It's the same concept you just had.
It's like Slim Pickens, and they just decided. I mean, because in years past, would you ever thought that a kick returner guy there? I like it. Don't get me wrong, but if you just picking the best of the best, you gonna pick a kick return over some of these other guys that have been left off? I don't know. I don't know. This might be the difference in the voters have changed. We got some new voters who are Hall of Fame voters now.
Yeah.
Maybe the criteria has changed a bit, but no doubt about it, Dwight Freeney deserves the nod.
And Julius Peppers.
Julius.
and
Oh
Julius
yeah.
Peppers.
Slam dunk.
Yeah.
No doubt
I
about
remember
that.
Julius Peppers playing
question.
basketball in North Carolina.
Question: who would you have? Because they played the same position. Who would you have first, Peppers or Freeney?
Peppers. Freeney was too one-dimensional. To me, because he was all about pass rush, and that left them too open for running lanes, and that was their problem a lot of times.
But when Freeney got to you, it was a strip sack. When Freeney got to you, caused the turnover.
When they went and got Booger McFarland and they shored up that middle, the defense got better. But if you remember, the whole key was they had that wide 9, and you split them right down the middle. You could take advantage of them Colts, keep Pete Man on the sideline. So I thought he was a little bit too one-dimensional.
I would agree. I would go with Peppers as well.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. But congratulations to the Hall of Fame class of 2024. Again, once you make the Hall, nobody can take your jacket away from you. So I would never disrespect them in that way. But it's always good for lively debate.
That last year, sort of?
All right. Let's move on. Let's move on to the
I saw
NFL.
Ronnie Palmer, man. I know my butt, man.
Hey, I wasn't in charge of pictures that say 2024 on it. NFL 100 list came out, finished up. They've been counting down the top. So we're just not going to get into the all 100. But we're going to go from 40 to 31. And very interesting that right off the bat, number 40 on the list is Davante Adams, someone who we have been looking at as one of the best wide receivers in the league. And this is an example of maybe to your point, Justin, what you were saying earlier about, Hall of Fame wide receiver and been dependent on playing with other great players and not having the Hall of Fame quarterback throwing them to him anymore. Where Davante Adams, when he was with Aaron Rodgers, he was at the top of his top 10, top 15. And now he got who's his quarterback now out there in the Raiders? You got me.
They don't know yet.
Yeah.
O'Connell.
Yeah. So he's number 40 on this list now. Is he still a great receiver? Yes. I listened to his interview with Shannon Sharp a week or two ago, and he said he could play with anybody. You know what I mean? Get him the ball. If you get me the ball, I'll get damage done. But again, he was a touchdown receiving machine. He's at top 40. And then Joe Burrow at number 39. Very surprising, if you ask me. This guy was he's supposed to be next, but I think injuries have taken a toll. Last year was a down year for Cincinnati. So just those two right there alone really stuck out to me. Justin, I'll start with you. Anybody from top 40 through 31 jump out to you being as low as they are?
I think Tua should be way more higher on this list. You gotta think like somebody had to help the team score 70 points last year, right, in a game, and that was Tua. The running game and all that. Yeah, I get you, I hear you, and everything, all these pieces and stuff like that. But if Brock Purdy is 28, he might be a sum of his parts, then Tua should be like right there next to him because he's the sum of his parts, but he makes the engine go, that kind of a thing. So I have a slight issue with that. I believe the receivers are starting to round themselves out. I love Puka. I love what he did last year. I love AJ Brown. I love Amon-Ra. Like they're starting to round themselves out. But I think I want to highlight most importantly, because no one said that he was going to be in the top 30 at all. And you know where I'm going with this. Shout out to Mike Evans. And I appreciate Calvin. Don't do that. Don't do that. You ain't had to put your head back that far. Listen, what I'm saying is, Larry, fix your shoulders. You had to get yourself right. What I'm saying is that no one expected him to be in this position, and the NFL players, that's who voted on this, the NFL game recognized game. And you know what? When I used to talk to Mike Evans back in the day, he said he was going to maintain his great seasons after seasons after
His
season.
internet don't even believe
that's what I see right now. Thank you.
Look, so who would you rather have, Brock Purdy or Tua? I hate him equally. So,
Tua.
Okay.
Any day of the week.
Okay. The only thing really stands out for me is Deron Bland being 31st because he had 6 interceptions returned for touchdowns. Is that it?
I mean, that's
he was
phenomenal.
terrible. He gave up as many touchdowns as he scored. Now that may mean that he scored a lot of touchdowns, but he had one stretch of a season. Don't see why he's the 31st. I know this is voted on by the players. Also, I'm surprised that Jordan Love is this low. I thought he would be a little bit higher just based off the last 8 games of the season.
I think they took this in like November.
Okay.
So you got to think is closer to towards the whole season.
Okay.
That makes
I didn't know that.
I was also going to surprise that the discrepancy between Brandon Ayuk and I'll talk about him a little bit later, and Deebo Samuel, that how they're viewed that differently. Especially, I think Brandon Ayuk was like 60, 67 or something like that, and then Deebo was 30. So that's what really stood out to me.
I just don't understand how you could put AJ Brown that low. This guy is a phenomenal feat. And to me, if your quarterback could throw him the ball more accurately last year, this guy was a touchdown machine. At one point, he couldn't be stopped. 21?
I think you can name 20 people better than him. So I don't have a problem with that.
I have a major problem with it. The guy's a physical phenomenon, number one. And number two, he's a production machine. So, yeah, I have a serious problem with that. Other than that, yeah, the two of them was obvious. Nick Bosa can't stay healthy, so I'm not going to hate on that. Other than that, I'm fine with the list. It is what it is. You're going to put some linemen in there that's going to skew some things. So, got to do that. So, let's go to 20 through number 1. Tyreek Hill coming in at number 1 wide receiver. Now, you're going to say Tyreek is number 1, and his quarterback is all the way down in the 40 somewhere, 30 something. That's just ridiculous to me. Somebody got to get you the ball. But anyway, Tyreek is phenomenal.
Lamar got to break all them tackles when you unthrow.
Yeah, I hear you. Lamar's a physical freak. We get that. But Mahomes needs to be up there in 1 or 2. I'm sorry. He's proven himself over and over and over again. If this is about who can run the 40 faster or who's the most elusive and all that kind of stuff, to me, Mahomes is still elusive. So, I'm sorry. Mahomes deserves to be 1 or 2.
So
I will stand by that.
I said it was in November because you remember early in the season, Patrick was real.
He was rusty.
For Patrick Mahomes standards, he was real normal.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then if you would have took this same poll at the end of the season, especially at the end of the Super Bowl,
that's what I would have done.
Would probably definitely be number 1 overall. And this is, like I said, that 70-point game. Tyreek Hill was the main contributor to the Miami stuff.
Miami was riding high until Baltimore bust that ass.
He was on pace for like 2,000 yards too at one point.
He was on pace for 2,000 yards at that time.
The only thing that stands out to me is like I didn't think CJ was that. I mean, I know he had that 500-yard game I think against Atlanta, but they were still like 500 at that point. They didn't really take control of the division till late. So he was living off of. Back-to-back 500-yard games, something like that.
But if you took this in November, if you saying this late November, if you talking late November, the Eagles were on a serious slide the whole second half of the season, and Jalen was terrible last year. Injuries, whatever you want to call it, for him to be at 15, that's interesting to me.
But I think that kind of makes sense because they were number 1 until they lost to San Francisco, and that was like late November, early December. And then they lost like 3
but remember they just kept sliding and sliding and losing.
Yeah, but they were winning until that time.
San Francisco.
And then they
Josh Allen being that low, that throws me.
I mean, you figure at that point Miami was running the division until late, so that makes sense because he didn't get high.
He was playing well though.
I would have subbed out George Kittle for AJ Brown. I think Kittle was way too high.
Easy.
Yeah, Kittle's way too high.
Easy. AJ Brown is a phenomenal freak.
AJ was still beasting in the early parts of that of the season.
Now I love the Myles Garrett pick. Myles Garrett was killing.
What is it? 649s in the top 30.
They would phenomenal.
It's like they just said 49s is great. So just trying to just check them off.
Yeah, I mean, Micah was a disappointment. Dak at 16. Nobody's going to mention that.
But but there was a point in time when he was in the MVP race. In November? In November, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. So
it makes sense with the timeline. So
And I like Max Crosby. Don't get me wrong, but bro,
I
I'll
don't
take
got him top
Roquan.
10.
I'll take Roquan any day of the week.
I ain't got him top 10. I'll take CD, Josh Allen,
Mm-hmm.
Justin Jefferson, Roquan. Yeah, it's a whole. I'll take over Max Crosby.
Justin Jefferson is interesting, but he was hurt most of the year last year. I don't think he even came back until December. So
I don't
I
think they
don't
care
know.
for Justin.
This might be
He
popularity.
nice. That's what they just said.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
nice. Don't get me wrong.
It's Justin Jefferson. It's just he belongs up there somewhere.
Just very interesting selections on this one. Kelsey definitely great, but he had an off year last year. If this was up until November, remember Kelsey was quiet. The whole Taylor Swift thing, everybody thought it was taking a toll on him, but then he got hot late. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
his numbers took a dip last year. Might be a reputation with that. Chris Jones got his money and he played like it. So not going to disrespect him. So overall, very interesting list. But let's get into our countdown, our preseason preview of the different teams heading into the season, counting down from the worst to the best. And this week, I'm going to lead us off with the Houston Texans, who ended up winning the AFC South last year, led by rookie sensation CJ Stroud. CJ's coming back for year 2. When you know about them sophomore slumps, will he be able to back up what he did in year 1, where he caught the world by surprise, coming in with a young team, rookie head coach. I really like what they were able to do on the offensive side of the ball. And not only did they, upgrade at key positions, because they went out and got you a Joe Mixon from Cincinnati to kind of replace, even though Devin Singletary had an excellent down the stretch last quarter of the season, he didn't show up in the playoffs against the Ravens, didn't look good at all. But they went out and got a Joe Mixon, thinking that that veteran presence in the backfield will help shore up that run offense. But also they went and got Stephon Diggs. Adding Stephon Diggs to this offensive onslaught with a quarterback who Diggs is coming from Josh Allen, who was also pretty good. So not like he's not used to playing with good quarterbacks, but he was complaining about not getting the ball. But now he joins Nico Collins, who's legit number 1. And we know that Nico was just catching the ball left and right last year from the rookie CJ Stroud. And we know that Tank Dell got hurt last year. When he gets back, put him in that rotation with these other 2 receivers, Joe Mixon in the backfield, this offense could be deadly. And I think they have a really good chance of once again winning that AFC South. I will not be shocked to see them go make a little run into the playoffs. I have a little bit of high expectation for them now. Last year, they really didn't have any expectations because, you got a rookie coach, rookie quarterback. How much can you expect from them? But now expectations grow. You go add a Stephon Diggs. How will he blend in that locker room? Will he still be wanting the ball? Will he want to try to, upstage a Nico Collins, Tank Dell? How long will it take for him to come back off that injury? Defensively, that secondary, it was a lot of turnover. They were good last year, but I think they made some really solid picks. You lose a Jerry Hughes, but you go out and get some really solid players. They had a pretty good draft as well to try to shore up that D-line, to shore up that linebacking core, and especially the safety position. So I'm going to be very interested to see what the Houston Texans are going to do. They're in probably the weakest division. I think it's going to be competitive as far as with, to me, I'm not going to say the weakest division. They're not the weakest division because I think the Colts are going to be better. We're going to see. We talked about this last week. I don't believe in the Jacksonville Jaguars, but they seem to always be right there at the end. In Tennessee, I think they're going to take the biggest step down. I got Houston finishing first in the AFC South, and I think they're going to be a very, very strong contender to move on into the divisional, possibly into the AFC Championship game if they get the right matchup. What you got, Calvin?
Do you think, let me ask you a question first. You think they contend for the 1 seed?
I think they have a very good chance in that division because I think that they're going to rack up some wins against Jacksonville. I think Indy might split with them, but if you go back and look, who are you really scared of? Are you scared of Jacksonville? Are you scared of Indianapolis? Is Tennessee really going to put that much fear in your heart? I think they're going to get 6 wins, maybe 5 or 6 wins right there in their division. And by finishing in first place, they're going to play Baltimore this year. You're going to play that first place schedule, so I get it. That's 3 tough games. But other than that, I could easily see them finishing the season with 4 losses. That's a contention for the #1 seed.
Yeah, I mean, they have a tough schedule. They're going to play the NFC. They play the NFC North, so they're going to play Detroit. They're going to play Green Bay. They're going to play Chicago, and they also play the AFC. They play the AFC East, I believe. So they're going to play Bills, Miami, and the Jets as well. So they have a pretty tough schedule, but I think they have the weapons on offense. When you add a Stephon Diggs to a Nico Collins and a Tank Dell coming off that rookie season, and you don't have the need to rush him back, you legit can have 3 number ones. I would not be surprised if any one of them or the leading receiver for that team for that particular game, 100 yards and a touchdown reception. It's just to be able to spread the ball around. It's just a wealth of receivers for C.J. Stroud. And I think in year 2, we should see that progression that superstar quarterbacks take from year 1 to year 2. He started off his rookie year kind of slow with that loss to Baltimore and got better each year. And we saw a 500-yard performance, and we saw them over-relying on him and then kind of bringing him back down with the running game. You add a mix into the mix. You still have Damian Pierce. You have Cam Akers. They have just a ton of people they could just throw at you on offense. And like you said, in that division, I don't know if anyone can really hang with them. Jacksonville may give them a problem, but I still think they can outscore anyone. Anthony Richardson and the Colts, I still need to just see more. We got a small sample size. And then you got Tennessee, who's missing Hopkins for the first 6 to 8 weeks with that knee injury. They should run away with this division. They should be contending for #1 seed. And I think anything else should be seen as a failure on their part. When you have this amount of weapons and you have a quarterback, more importantly, on a rookie contract, and you're able to overpay and build around him while on that rookie contract, Houston should be able to strike with the irons hot. But it starts with C.J. Stroud, and it starts with him taking a progression to becoming a superstar quarterback. Now, in the AFC, he may not even be a top 5 quarterback. We can have that discussion just because it's so loaded. And when you have a Mahomes and a Burrow and a Jackson and an Allen, you have to contend with those guys. You have to beat those guys if you want to get where Houston wants to be, and that's in the Super Bowl. Can they do it? We'll see. But I expect the division title. I expect them to contend with #1 seed, and I expect them to beat some very good football teams because of their schedule and because they are talented and they have the talent. Adding a Stephon Diggs with the #1 receiver, Scott should be the limit.
Get his nigga a clock.
The fact that you brought up Stephon Diggs is very important, and I think we just don't think everything is kumbaya, right? Mm-hmm. He's going to come in with a smile on his face, playing team football, and
he want the ball.
That's not his MO, and that's my main problem for this team is you have a second-year quarterback with the baggage, unfortunately, at this time that he has in Stephon Diggs. Is Nico Collins strong enough to say, "Hey, I am the #1 here. You can be all right being #2," and is Tank Dell? I don't think Tank Dell's going to be put that much of resistance, but that's a lot of egos that needs to be checked here. And can DeMarco Ryan can he do that? It feels like he has the personality to, but if you would have said this team is with Bill Belichick, I just go straight to the playoffs, straight deep run in the playoffs, no problem. Because he can manage those egos. He doesn't care about them. That's my only problem with this team. I'm gonna be short with that.
I think D'Amico can get them in line. I think they cut their head for him. He has that demeanor. No one has
gotten Stephon Diggs in line yet.
I thought he played well in Minnesota. I just thought it ran its course. With that
in 2 years,
I think it ran its course in Minnesota. I think he wanted his money. It wasn't necessarily about. He didn't want to play there.
And that's why he'll be okay in Houston.
He got paid. You're right.
He got a guarantee. And he's in the contract year.
He's in the contract year. How is CJ going to take? Josh Allen's a different breed. Yeah. Stephon was going to confront CJ. I can guarantee you that.
Well, CJ's a pass first quarterback. He's not running around. Part of it. Josh Allen want to run and be the show. You know what I mean?
You throw the Tank Dell 4 times in a row. Do you not see me over here?
I get it.
It can be as simple as that, guys.
You're discounting the fact that they weren't winning as well. So while he wasn't getting the ball, they weren't winning. So I think
Josh Allen was making bonehead mistakes with the football.
And I think
he sure was. And Stephon Diggs was dropping balls too.
You're right. And then you drop too many balls, they're gonna go to Tank Dell, or they're gonna go to Cam Akers out the backfield. They're gonna go to Damian
Nico
Pierce or
Collins.
Joe
I'm
Mixon
just saying
or
it's
Nico
just a lot of
Collins.
egos, and I'm just waiting to see. That was my only caveat. You guys said a lot
No,
of
I
points.
get you.
But you saying
That's
it's a
my
lot of
only
egos. I think
caveat,
it's
and something like that can derail a whole team.
see, you saying it's a lot of egos. I think it's one ego, and that's Stephon Diggs, and that's because he's the only one who's playing for next year's contract. Everyone else is on a rookie deal. Now you can give him an
And-
extension that kicks in, but he's the only one that's potentially not going to be there next year because his deal expires. So if he's not on his best behavior, it doesn't matter because we still have Nico Collins and Tank Dell. I mean, granted, Tank Dell got hurt, but we still have talent that we don't need you. We got to the division championship without you last year.
Without you.
Mhm.
Great point.
Yeah.
Want a playoff game.
You're right.
Yep.
I'm just saying.
We'll see. Yep, they won a playoff game last year, so we'll see how they follow that up. All right, Justin, tell us about the Los Angeles Rams.
Okay, we got the LA Rams here starting quarterback Matthew Stafford. We know this. Biggest off-season loss. I had to put a little bit more emphasis on this guy because he is first ballot, just whatever he wants in the
Put him in
the
there.
offseason. LA is going to write a check for him. Aaron Donald is now officially gone. No more wavering in and out. He's gone. He's out of there. Best offseason additions. They decided to attack their secondary. Tre'Davious White, Darius Williams, and then they got a guard from the Lions, Jonah Jackson. And I put the players or units to watch. Can the emerging star-studded offense? Okay, so it didn't save. I wrote some more on there, but basically, is can the star-studded offense continue to grow and then continue to be impactful and to make up for the loss of Aaron Donald? So what do we have here? We have Puka Nacua in the second year. Although he's hurt right now, hopefully it's not too bad of an injury. And you have Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp is now officially healthy. You know, he had to go through that season of trying to come back and battling injuries. He doesn't have to worry about that right now. So you have the return of a Triple Crown wide receiver, and you have the Rookie of the Year, damn near Offensive Player of the Year. He just came out the gate. No one expected Puka. Everyone's looking for the next Puka Nacua. You have those two. Then you have Kyron Williams in the backfield. And where did he come from? No one knows today. But he performed to the point where as though they ran off 7 victories out their last 8 games to go right into the playoffs, unfortunately, just to losing to the Lions. But Matthew Stafford's healthy. They just have a star-studded, high-powered offense, and I think that's enough. I think that's truly enough to contend, and they can go right back into the playoffs. Yes.
So you got them as a wild
Matthew
card?
Stafford, they're still going to be wild card, though.
Okay. Calvin, your thoughts on the Rams?
I think you're underestimating the loss of Aaron Donald. I think he was one of the real leaders on that ball club, and especially defensively. And that defense has taken some losses the last couple of years since they won the Super Bowl. You know, Jalen Ramsey, Von Miller, and now Aaron Donald. They've lost all 3 of those players in the last 2 years. And I think they were more than great players. They were leaders. I don't have this team in the playoffs next year. I just think they take a step back. Now we saw Puka step up. We know he's injured, so we're back to just Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp. And they had an excellent run late in the season to make it a wild card. No one really picked them, especially with the reports of Matthew Stafford not knowing anyone's name on offense, to him struggling with this new offense, going into training camp last year. I think they're just fighting an uphill battle, and I think the NFC is slightly better. You know, you have the Packers, you have Chicago, who are just a quarterback away, or just seeing if the quarterback can lead those teams. I don't know if the Rams can do that. They're still struggling to repair their line from 2 years ago. Matthew Stafford took a lot of hits. And I'm not saying the NFC is a better conference, but they do have better teams than they had last year. And I'm just not sure if LA can make it and repeat the success they had late last year to make it back to the playoffs. I do still have Matthew Stafford as the top quarterback in the NFC. I do think if Puka's healthy, he can be the best receiver in the NFC if he's healthy. Now he's dealing with his knee injury, we'll see. But him and Cooper Kupp are an excellent 1-2 combination. I'm just not sure if they have enough, especially with the loss of leadership in that locker room, to make it back to the playoffs.
I don't know. I think I agree with Justin on this one. Like, you got that running back, Kyren Williams, who was sensational last year.
Yeah.
And like you said, they made a hell of a push. And that offense under McVay, I think he's good enough when you get a healthy receiving core. We'll find out how long Puka before he gets back, but that boy was phenomenal last year. And adding him to a Cooper Kupp, we talked about this earlier when we talked about this Hall of Fame discussion. When you got two guys like that, and yeah, they splitting, but they can play off of each other. And the way he's able to break a game wide open, and Kupp will be able to work that intermediary, and Kyren Williams coming out the backfield was a godsend last year. And then on the defensive side of the ball, which y'all haven't really harped on, I thought the biggest sign was Tre'Davious White. You went and got him and Darius Williams to shore up that back end, which was trash last year. Leah, you lose.
What that man said, Tre'Davious White did come off an injury, right? That's why they was able to get him in the free agency. However, the doctor that performed the surgery was from the Rams. So he must have told them this dude is good to go.
He's fine.
Go get him. So that's
apparently he'll be fine. Apparently, and again, they came on late last year. I don't think this team will be the team you look at early and be like, oh, this is all you're going to get, because we don't know about Puka Nacua. We don't know about how everybody will mesh right off the bat. But again, if you can put on a run come late October into the later part of the year, I could easily see this team finishing second in the NFC West. I don't really think that's a stretch. Is Arizona or Seattle that scary that you're going to be like?
Once you're second, you give your shot. You give a strong shot at the wild card, and just like we was talking about between Houston and the Colts, they're kind of similar with that. Yes, 49ers will probably be up in one of the best teams in the whole league. But are we worried about Seattle this year? I don't think so. We might. I think they're going to drop personally. And then Arizona, if they get better, they go from 4 games to 7 games. They're still one of the worst teams in the league. So. LA is definitely going to sit nice and pretty in number 2.
And look, I know this might be blasphemous to say, but I think Aaron Donald retired at the right time. If you really been watching him, he has not been himself ever since that Super Bowl.
Last year,
he hasn't been himself.
Yeah.
He wasn't himself.
We talked about retirement after the Super Bowl, and then he gave it one more year. So
once you know what I mean. There you go.
That's it.
Yeah.
There you go. He knew something. You know what I mean? There was a reason why his heart just wasn't in it like it used to be.
And look, he walked away from a huge annual salary. So
monster.
You gotta give him props for that, because he could stay for the checks.
And you gotta remember, after you win the Super Bowl, you lose a lot of pieces. They've lost a lot of pieces since that Super Bowl team. They went all in. They went all in for that Super Bowl.
After them picks.
Tip that hat. They got Puka Nacua. Yeah, they worked. They got Puka Nacua to try to retool. Kyren Williams, they got some young players, so we'll see how it pans out. McVay was talking about. It was words they was going to get rid of McVay. So we'll see how that.
Retire. Yeah.
And then somebody smashed his wife.
I thought that was no, that was Stafford. That was Stafford.
Oh, that was Stafford.
Stafford. Yeah, the backup quarterback. That's what you're talking about. You're talking about the backup quarterback. Yeah.
All right.
Tell us about the Pittsburgh. I can't just get on that quick.
The Pittsburgh Steelers starting quarterback Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, depending on who you listen to and who's had the better day in camp. We know Russell Wilson missed a little bit of camp last week with that calf injury. Justin Fields filled in for him with us one group. There's been talk about Justin Fields actually winning the offense over and him being the preferred favorite of the Pittsburgh Steelers. In my opinion, the biggest offseason loss is Deontay Johnson. They have no one opposite George Pickens. And we'll get into what their thought process may be, but Deontay Johnson at times was better than George Pickens, who was kind of irrational, emotional at times, in my opinion. And Deontay's now in Carolina, filling that slot opposite Adam Thielen down there, and for the Panthers. Biggest offseason addition, the Steelers really don't go after big names. They did sign one in Patrick Queen. Now, this is not me being high on Patrick Queen. This is me saying that they're trying to gain some knowledge on their division rival, because they look at this offense and say, well, can we duplicate what they do in Baltimore with Justin Fields, which I don't think they can do. And also, they've been talks about Brandon Ayuk. There was some speculation floating around on Twitter that he was traded today. Didn't see anything concrete, but Brandon Ayuk to the Pittsburgh Steelers can be something that, if it's not for George Pickens it can be something that improves this Pittsburgh offense. I don't think you can have Brandon Ayuk without George Pickens and say that you improved your team, and you still have to pay Brandon Ayuk because we know he wants to get paid. How long will it be before Justin Fields is starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Will it be week 1? Will it be week 8? I don't know if Russell Wilson can hold off Justin Fields when we know he's a younger quarterback. He has better legs, maybe even a better arm. He just wasn't given a chance in Chicago. And I don't know. I think this is the year the Pittsburgh Steelers will not finish above 500. You know, we've routinely seen them go 8-8, or since the season gone to 17 games, they've gone 9-8. I think this is the year. You have a tough division as always. You have the worst offense in the division by far. The only bright spot is your defense. But if you can't score points, how can you win games? I got the Pittsburgh Steelers going under 500 for the first time in Mike Tomlin's career, and I think this will be the first year. This will be the year that leads to change a quarterback, change the philosophy on offense, and change the personnel across the board on offense.
Hey, Justin, what's your thoughts on that?
Can you please tell me who the quarterbacks were last year for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Kenny Pickett.
Mm-hmm. That was it?
Mason Rudolph.
Mason Rudolph. Okay. There's probably another white guy in there too. And they still managed to go 500, above 500. And you're telling me that with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, this is the year they go under 500.
They went over 500 because the Baltimore Ravens didn't have to win their last game of the season.
I don't care what you did. Did they go 500? They did, right?
I'll tell you why they went over 500.
Understood. And the main reason why they got Patrick Queen is to cipher off information from the Baltimore Ravens.
They didn't get him for his play.
Is that your diagnosis?
They didn't get him for his play.
They didn't get him for his play.
They did not get him to be the Mike on that offense.
Play much better with a all-pro linebacker and Roquan. So you add him with an all-pro linebacker, edge rusher, TJ Watt. That's not going to affect anything. He's going to be like, he's not going to be like good. He's going to be like trash now.
Let me say, if you watch Patrick Queen before Roquan came, you saw his limitations. You saw him get exposed in the pass game. You saw him not hit the correct holes in the run game. Roquan allowed him to someone that was on the field that was able to talk him through plays. In addition, Patrick Queen was not on the field on passing downs on third down. A lot of when he got exposed was on first and second downs in the passing game. So now if he's going to be your Mike, he's going to be your 3-down linebacker. I'm going to target him in the passing game on third downs with my tight end and with my running back. That's all I'm saying.
You don't have time to target that much because you have TJ coming off the edge. That's what he's
TJ on the field.
True. Well, TJ's on the field. But no, okay. All right, I'm just teasing a little bit. But at the end of the day, Mike Tomlin will have this team above 500 because that's all he showed me to do up until this point is to at least have 500 or above 500 now with the extra game added to the season. Justin Fields, I don't like it for pop culture. I don't like it because of Russell Wilson and Sierra, but he will probably take that starting job no later than maybe week 3 to 4.
You think that fast?
I think is that he might get it from the jump. He's from Pittsburgh camp. He's performing better than Russell Wilson. It is what it is. When you have someone as dynamic as that, and like you said, now this is the Ravens comparison. They're used to seeing a quarterback just kind of take over everything, and if Justin Fields is a B type to Lamar's A type, then that's what you go by. You just go with it. And then now George Pickens can be who he is and make plays in the air because that's what he wants to do. Just throw it up to him and he'll try to go get it. That's where he makes his big plays. I like it. I like everything they're doing. Yes, I think you guys give Patrick a little bit harder critique because y'all live with him. Y'all live through the ups and downs. And I know. But sometimes players learn. And I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he learned under a great leader, which is Roquan, because Roquan is probably the greatest leading linebacker right now. So, yeah, I still got him third, though. I just got him third with a winning record. It is what it is. No, I got them there. I got Cincinnati fourth.
Well, I hate the Steelers. Everybody knows that. But I do think that they made some valuable changes on defense that's really going to keep them in a lot of these games. Not Patrick Queen per se. Everybody know I hate him, but I think adding Deshaun Elliott to go with make him Fitzpatrick, I think that will shore up the safety position. I think
Detroit.
I think that was the wrong system for him in Detroit. Plus, also the playing time wasn't consistent either. I think that this team has to be healthy. That's the problem. If you looked at how many players have been missing out of the lineup the last 2 years, Cameron Hayward, he's aging, he's getting up there in age. Has he really even been on the field to really put out that output that he used to? You lose. Remember, they went out and thought they were shoring up that linebacker core with a Blake Martinez. He's gone. So Quan Alexander's gone. So you bring in a Patrick Queen, thinking that this guy's going to be. I don't believe in Patrick Queen, so I think that's a problem. I think the piece that I think a lot of people are overlooking is Justin Fields, and I think if they can use him, I don't believe anything because even you don't believe in him, Calvin. You had an opportunity to put on your very slide who is the best offseason addition. You didn't put Russell Wilson.
You're right.
Who was supposed to be your starting quarterback that you just went and got. Why? Because you don't believe in him. He's trash.
You're right.
All right. So at least we agree to that. Justin Fields actually showed promise in Chicago. And I think that he can actually, under Mike Tomlin, show that he's a mobile quarterback who's going to put them in position. I think this team finishes in second place in the division. I don't believe in Cincinnati the way other people do. I don't believe in Cleveland the way other people do. I think this team is primed to finish pretty strong. I think they'll compete. I think defensively will be why. I think getting a Van Jefferson and going out and get a Cordell Patterson who is a gadget guy. But if you got a quarterback like a Justin Fields, adding Cordell Patterson to him and the style of offense that they run, I think that's an excellent fit, and it will give defenses problems.
It depends if they're still stuck on giving the ball to Najee. Then
Najee is like running into a wall.
Yeah, they're going to struggle. If they realize that Warren is that dude, and Cordell, because he can play both, he can play wide out and running back. It's Najee for me. He is not a great running back. He's not a good running back. He already hit the wall. Now he's done. But they're going to keep riding him out because they drafted him.
I think if you told me that this team was built for Justin Fields to start day one, I would probably be a little bit more optimistic. But I think they're going to hang on to Russell Wilson too long and not turn the reins over until midseason. Then it's too late.
But see, I disagree with that. I have nothing in their history tells me that they stick with a quarterback. Look how many times they've gone back and forth between Pickett, Rudolph, the other dude. Who was the dude that got hit with the helmet in the head?
That was Rudolph.
Was that Rudolph? It was the other guy. Then they had like two quarterbacks, and he would play one week, one another week. The black guy that got killed. Remember they went and got him. He was in Washington.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah,
like on his name.
It's been like 5 or 6 quarterbacks there the last few years, and he'll just throw another one out there. So I don't think he's not married to Russell Wilson. They didn't pay that much for him. I think that Fields is the one where if he's not playing well, they'll put Russell back in there. So
Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah. So again, I just think,
the one that got killed. Oh man, you could have said that better.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, he did get killed. But rest in peace, brother. I just don't think the Pittsburgh is built like that with being married to a quarterback since Ben Bing.
I could forget.
Who?
Mitch Trubisky.
Trubisky. Look how many quarterbacks they didn't ran out there the last few years.
A lot of them.
But this is my thing. Like, why? If you got Justin Fields for a steal, I think it was a steal. It was a third. It was a 4 that becomes a 3, possibly with playing time. Why did you still sign Russell Wilson? That's what I don't understand.
I think
they had Wilson first. Justin came afterwards.
Correct, but they were in talks to trade for Justin Fields initially, and then if you do that and you say Russell is the backup, which I don't think was said to Russell because he wouldn't have signed there. I just think they're going to hang on. They're going to try to win with Russell Wilson initially, and then they're going to realize that Justin Fields is better for the type of offense they have.
I think they was kicking the can with Justin just to see what they can get.
I think
You
so,
know,
too.
I don't
he's the
think
future.
I don't think they realize they could truly get him because there's
I
other
think he's
teams
the
that probably
future,
was
though.
a little bit more
If
desperate
he's
need
the
of.
future,
I
if he's the future, you want to set him up for success. And if you feel like Chicago threw him to the Wolves, and let's be honest, he wasn't a great passer. Like his athleticism is what made him special.
yeah.
So
And also, we can also be honest and say if Russell Wilson if you're really that dude, then this guy shouldn't be outperforming you.
that's
To
true.
go
Agreed.
along with what you said,
Agreed.
We'll
both
see,
things
and
are
that
true.
will
So
the proof will be in the pudding, one
fight
way
it
or
out.
another.
So
Yep.
when do you think Justin Fields starts?
If Russ do what he normally does, week 3. like, let's be real.
I don't think it'll
3
be
to
that
4.
fast. I don't think it'll be before. I think they play the Ravens week 7, 6. Something.
He
I don't
might
think it'll
pull
be
him
before
at
then.
halftime the way they pull quarterbacks. Like we just named like 5
I-
guys they've
But
had.
I feel like they're gonna give him more leeway because of his
Because his name is
past or his
Russell Wilson?
career,
I think
or
he
because of who
lost
he
that in
was.
Denver. I'm sorry.
But
I think if
but
you
see, I
watched
think the
him in
consensus
Denver,
but yeah, I think the consensus is more is leaning towards more Sean Payton than Russell Wilson. And I think
That's true.
Okay.
That part is true. However, we're going to find out during the preseason. Period is that. Simple as that. We're going to find out in the preseason if Justin Fields is electrifying
he'll
and
win the
Russell
job.
is throwing interceptions in the preseason.
Well, we'll see how long
he
they
can
can
blame
play him.
himself.
Yeah. Very interesting. These 3 teams will be very interesting to track. I think all of them have very, very, like you say, we just talked about Houston, the Rams, and the Steelers. We're getting better we're climbing the ladder a little bit. And I think all these teams will have very interesting decisions of how far they make it long term. But I do think Pittsburgh's going to finish second in the division. All right, let's get to some baseball talk, gentlemen. Right now, the Baltimore Orioles are tied with the New York Yankees, 67-46 now. What was the update for tonight's ball game? It is Monday night. Did the Orioles play tonight?
no, neither one of them played.
Okay, so we're tied 67-46 at the top of the American League East. Very tight. News from the past week, though, I do want to highlight is that they did call up Jackson Holiday, and he hit 2 home runs already?
Should have been 3, but yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah,
very
that's great.
close to
First
3.
one was a grand slam. First one was a
Very
grand
close.
slam
He had a
last
grand
Wednesday.
slam. The grand slam was crazy.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on currently with the Baltimore Ravens over the past week, Justin?
I think of Utah streets.
The Ravens?
Excuse me,
The
Baltimore Orioles.
You know, we went up against the Guardians and we held serve. I appreciated that. Okay, yep. So they also called up Kobe Mayo as well. And
Yeah.
I think they should have been did that personally. I hate the fact that they had to make this move because of Westbrook being Jordan being hurt. If he would have been kind of brought up, with a farm system as rich as ours, you don't have. I don't know. Maybe this is the outside me not being a baseball guy, but in the NBA, they be 10-day contracts here and there. They give them out. You come in, see how you are, then you go back down, work on some things. I just think they should have maybe done that instead of just saying, "Here, Mayo, boom, go play." Like you're playing me against what? Toronto, Cleveland. Who am I playing against? Like, it's crazy. Like, I'm just out here. Like, I think they just could have made that transition a little bit better. But Jackson, just to speak on his counterpart, it feels like we have a superstar for the long haul because he was able to have his bumps early, took all the praise in the beginning, took all the negative comments right afterwards. And you know that those AAA dudes was trashing him. You thought you was that good, huh? You know the opposing team and probably some of his teammates was talking ish to him. Like, well, I didn't expect to see you back here. All that stuff. He managed through all that stuff, managed his temper, managed his ego, managed all those things, came back, got called back up, and he's needed. Let's not take that for granted. He is needed right now. And he's performing very well for himself. Like I said, almost 3 home runs. That is great. We just picked up Elroy Jimenez. And I said, if I'm not mistaken, like when you're playing on trash teams, you don't feel like coming to work. It's just it is what it is. I got 162 games of this stuff. It's hot outside, and you want me to perform my best. I'm not gonna be able to do it.
That's terrible.
And it's true, right? Look, you can pick up a lot of things from Major League back in the early 90s. You remember that movie?
That is
That was
true.
a great movie, and it showed a lot. It showed a lot. And I'm just saying, it's proven itself yet again. He went to a better squad. He got plus 30 wins on his already, and now he's performing very well for the Orioles. Shout out to him. They just it feels like they hit a lot of the right things. Like I said, pitching is still questionable at times. We bailed out Corbin Burns the other day. So it's all good. Like I said, I've been very optimistic, very positive as our trio comes back, and it's just it's all good things for the Orioles for me personally. We need to knock this series out that we about to go on. I think we played Toronto. We need to knock these dudes out because they shouldn't be on our level, and we need to go ahead and get some serious high quality wins.
The only thing I'll disagree with you is them waiting to call Coby Mayo up. I was one to wait until the end of this month, beginning of next month when rosters expand, only because I wanted him to have enough service time to be considered a rookie next year, because that's how you can get extra draft compensation by having rookie of the year.
Man. Understood.
So and you had Gunnar last year, rookie of the year. Colton Cowles was leading rookie of the year this year. You could have had Mayo or even Basayo next year. So that's the only reason I didn't want them to call Coby Mayo yet. I'm not sure of the service time exactly. Will he to the rookie next year or this year? But other than that, I'm happy to see Jackson Holliday up here hitting better. He seems to be a little bit more aggressive at the plate. He's had 3 multi-hit games in the last week, and 2 of them were against Cleveland and their better pitching. I'm happy to see he has confidence again. I'm happy to see this young infield playing together because we need them to come together with the Jordan Westburg injury. I'm happy to see like Colton Cowles are getting regular playing time with the trade of Austin Hayes. The only I want to see Rushman get out this slump. He's just been in a hitting slump, which seems for the last couple of months. Hoping Gunnar gets out of his fielding slump. He's had more errors in the last 3 weeks than he's had all season.
I'm not doing.
I'm not speaking. Look, he's the MVP of this team. I completely agree. Just you got to get that out the way before you get to the playoffs. And the only issue I have is that I feel as though this team, if they would have played 500 baseball the last 6 weeks, they'd be up 5-6 games over the Yankees, because the Yankees were playing 400 baseball since they lost that series in New York. So that's the only thing I hope that this doesn't come back to bite them, where now all of a sudden you're fighting for that division crown and you end up with a wild card just because of this bad stretch of baseball that you had. Hopefully the pitching gets better with Suarez moving to the bullpen. Hopefully that's something that we see as well. But I'm excited to see these young players finally come up. We see Coby Mayo, we see Jackson Holliday. Next year we're probably going to see Basilio as that backup catcher role as well. I'm hoping we re-sign Santander. If I had to pick between Burns and Santander, I think I gotta go Santander, only because of what he brings.
Who?
Burns and Santander.
You're picking an outfielder over a pitcher?
So my thought process is, I know Burns said the right things. Say what?
A Cy Young winner. He could possibly win a Cy Young this year.
I mean, I think Grayson should be in the conversation as well for Cy Young. So that's first. So I think Grayson can be your ace, and him spending this year with Corbin Burns will do wonders. I don't know if I want to pay what it's going to cost to keep Corbin Burns here versus what's going to cost to keep Santander. Corbin Burns wants the picture in New York. I'm drawing a blank.
Okay. Picture in New
York. He wants his money. So he wants 40-50 a year for 3-4 years. I don't know if they're going to pay this amount of money to keep him. Now, granted, you can kind of phase that in. It's the way his contract ends. That's when you got to pay Gunnar and everything else. But you could probably get Santander for half. And I think you can address pitching.
This is the reason why.
Two things. The price was too high, and Scuba had 2 Tommy John surgeries, which no one talked about.
That's true, but they still wanted them, and they could have pulled the trigger. They said no. You say no to that, and then you get some of these B-list prospects back, not prospects, but players back in return. And some of them will C-tier players. Why? Because so you save money, So then you can sign Corbin Burns. The main objective is you sign Corbin Burns. You have to at least solidify somewhat of a rotation. So you have your ace in Corbin, and you have your soon-to-be ace in Grayson, and then we can work with a mid-ass and Kramer and the rest of them afterwards. You can get rid of Irvin all I can. But Santana, although he's great, he is the one that's expendable for me because we got so much talent. You got to put Jordan coming back. Where Kobe going?
Say it again.
If Jordan comes back, where Kobe go?
He's going to first base.
Where Mountcastle go?
Mountcastle's not going to be here.
Oh, so he's gone already. How you?
Mountcastle was gone because I think Basilio's is your catcher, so you're going to have him and Rushman alternating DH, and that's why I say if you keep Santander, you have this trio, and you also add Kerstead as well, so you can have Kerstead DHing as well. So you have options. I think Mountcastle's the odd man out because when Westberg comes back, Westberg's your third baseman. I think Kobe Mayo's first baseman. So I think that's how
Mayo definitely was working at first base.
He was working at first base until Joe Westberg got hurt. And then they put him back at third. So
they put him back at third. I just think that Santana is if he wants too much, he's the odd man out. Don't have too much.
If Santana is half of what Burns is, same amount of years. I think they're the same age. They're roughly 29, 30, 31, around that age.
Hell, pay both of them. See your money. Pay both of them. Let's see where you at.
Hey, that's more way.
All you want to be is top 10 in home runs this year.
That's more way to keep the fan base happy. Pay both of them. I ain't upset at that. Name my money.
Excellent. Well, that's our Orioles talk for this week. Good stuff, fellas. Let's get into something that we talked about a couple weeks ago on this show, and that was who's the best boxer in the world. And I had some very strong statements that were probably pretty controversial at the time. And I asked a simple question. I said, is Tank Davis the face of boxing right now? He's the most popular, most well-known, the biggest draw currently in the sport outside of, say, a international superstar like a Canelo Alvarez, something like that. And I was met with the rebuttal that is Bud Crawford, Terrence Crawford. And I'm sorry, guys. I just watched that show on Saturday night. I tried, man. Eminem was performing probably until about 1:45 in the morning on the East Coast. The fight was out in LA, so I get it. It's early for them. But Bud Crawford didn't touch the canvas probably till about 5 minutes to 1 a.m. I looked up and down my Facebook and Twitter timeline, and it was crickets. Everybody was talking about professional wrestling because SummerSlam was the same night. People were talking about the Olympics. I saw comments about, Eminem's performance, but nobody seemed to be talking about Bud Crawford. But then I saw after the fight, damn, Bud got his ass whipped. He barely squeaked out a victory. I can't say that's what happened. I think Bud won. I think he definitely won, but he was surely challenged. Justin, as a super Bud fan, and I'm sure you stayed up till 2 a.m. to watch all 12 of these boring ass rounds. How was the fight in your opinion?
I'll tell you one thing. I was definitely watching Roman Reigns over there.
All 30 seconds of him coming out.
With that being said, I did watch the full replay, and I watched all 12 rounds of the masterclass performance that is Bud Crawford, and he performed very well. His opponent, Israel, was a very tough opponent. Although he only had 10 professional fights, he had over 350 amateur fights. And when you come from the Eastern European countries where he comes from, then they have a high degree with amateur boxing. So I take that into consideration. He was a very fidgety, very uneven type of a fighter. He kept moving. He has a very solid ground game when it comes to boxing. Terrence, he usually read his opponents out. He went directly to southpaw because he realized I'm going to take away something from you, and he's not going to be able to hurt me with his jab. So all Israel was able to do was connect with the right cross. He kept doing that. It took about round 10-ish, and then Terrence was like, "You can't hurt me," and then turned it on, and he put on the best last 3 rounds I've seen in quite some time to close the fight out, to win the fight. Terrence basically showed that he can just take whatever the opponent is. He's a bigger guy. Remember, Terrence went up in weight class, and he was able to say, okay, my strength might not be able to knock this dude out, but he can't hurt me as well. So that's what made it kind of balanced right there. This Israel was the best at 154. He is the best fighter at 154. And I think he's going to show it to whoever he fights afterwards. He's probably going to kick their ass. So this is one of those things where you're going to see how great this was later on. Just like Canelo versus Floyd. We didn't really know how great Canelo was until after he fought Floyd, and then realized, yo, this dude is really it. Like, he's him, not somewhat. He is that good. It just happened to be after Floyd, and then we give Floyd that much more
so
respect.
That's what you expecting from this young fella here?
That's what I'm expecting after him, that he's going to be one of the premier fighters in the upcoming future, just to make Terrence look that much better, because Terrence is that good.
Good. Okay. Calvin, what's your thoughts?
What's this guy's name?
Israel Menelov.
What's his record?
He was 10-0 going into this fight.
How many of those by knockouts?
Not sure.
Okay. I did not stay up to watch this fight. On the replay, I watched the first 2 rounds and watched the last 2 rounds. That's about as much as I could get through. I expected a better performance from Bud, but in the 4 rounds that I watched, it's a third of the fight that I watched. I had Bud as such a high pedestal after Errol Spence, and to see, and some of this through no fault of his own. It's Earl not being prepared for a rematch. It's him not wanting to go up to fight Canelo. It's the lack of competition that he had available. So I don't blame Bud completely. But at this point in your career, I think you have to take more chances if you want to improve what is your Hall of Fame resume. What is your what do we remember Bud Crawford as? Because at this point, we don't know what to expect from Bud, and I think that's what I was expecting from him this last year. It's Bud.
At 154, who was the champion?
It's Bud.
It was Israel. Bud took his title.
It was Israel with 10 fights, though.
I'm just saying. When you said that 10-0 and how many was knockouts and stuff like that, what I'm saying is, at this point in Bud's career, that's all I'm saying.
At this point in Bud's career, he needs to take some chance.
And Bud took his
he's fighting a guy with 10 fights with 5 knockouts, and we're talking.
But he was a champion,
and that's the problem. How is he 10-0 and the champion? That's another problem we haven't addressed. How's he 10-0 and the champion?
He's being remembered for being a multi-weight class, universal, solidifying champion. He collects belts. That's what Bud will be remembered.
Why when we talk about other fighters, we talk about who they fought, but with Bud, we're talking about he's a multi-division champion. It can't be the same. It can't be. This is the conversation for other fighters. This is the conversation for Bud. And I respect Bud. And like I said, I've watched his entire career. I'm just disappointed. Not disappointed. I think he needs to go out on a limb to have more of a say in his future post Earl Spence. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what I expected, because him and Earl worked together to put that fight together the last July. I expected more of that from Bud. And I'm just kind of seeing what he did previously to just kind of bounce around, martyr around. I could beat you, and not give the people the fights that they want to see, and not give a chance to put his talents on display like he did in the Earl Spence fight. That's all I'm saying. It's not a shot at Bud. It's a shot at what does he want his legacy to be, and that's the problem that I have. And we're talking about a fighter who was 10-0, who was a champion, yes. But how did we get to a point where you're 10-0, you have 10 fights, and you're a champion? And I think that's part of the problem with boxing.
Well, I agree there's a problem with boxing, but if this gentleman was as tough as many have said, and Justin, I agree with a lot of points you made as far as that. I never disputed, and if you can go back and rewind the tape, I never said Bud wasn't pound for pound the best fighter in the world. I never said, but to me,
talking about box office, right?
I'm talking about box office, baby. I'm talking about.
At the end of the day, know what? I'm gonna support your argument for you. Let me cut you off. I apologize in advance. This is one of the rare times I saw Bud actually do a promotional tour. He was on wrestling. He was on different talk shows.
He was on SmackDown.
He was really trying to sell.
Was he on First Take?
I think so.
He was on. He did his tours,
Yeah.
and it still didn't sell like a Tank Davis fight. So I concede that argument because I don't know how Tank does it when he can't even talk right, but he sells. You know what?
He don't have that Q factor. You gotta have that Q factor, and
Bud doesn't. He doesn't. He tried. He really tried, and it just didn't work.
And what I also say is, look, he's a great fighter. That's the thing. Like but once you get the promotion behind it, you gotta go in there and knock niggas out. I'm sorry, man. Like that's what people want to see. Like Floyd could get away with it because Floyd was such an exceptional talker.
He could sell it.
Exactly. Like, so you going to want to come back. You want to see him get beat. You know what I mean? If you hate him, or you want to see him win if you love him. The thing I'm saying is now you lining up. What's everybody going to say now? Okay, you moved up in weight, bud. This first time we seen him fight since the Terrence Crawford fight, right?
Yeah.
That was a year and a half ago.
Since the Earl Smith. About a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Since the Earl Smith, excuse me. So now that's lining up. Everybody saying, is there going to be a rematch? Or will he fight Canelo? Because you moved up in weight now, right? Is he going to make that jump? Why you shaking your head? Why you shaking your head, Justin? Why you shaking your head?
He don't want those problems.
But that's what I'm saying.
It's too much weight at the end of the day, and weight classes
more
matter.
For Canelo than Bud, in my opinion.
Canelo is just bigger and stronger, and you'll be coming up to his class. And that's too much for Terrence at age 37. He'll be 38, 39 trying to do this. No, I mean, Boots Ennis is probably the next person I see for Bud, but he needs to let Alvarez go.
I don't know, man. He wants to fight. If you want to go against Canelo, because you know that's going to be the biggest box office fight you'll ever have in your career, I don't think you'll win any more points for the rematch with Earl Spence. I don't think what is that going to earn you? But if he goes up and faces Canelo and is able to hold his own and beat him, I think that can actually he's a made man. Win, lose, or draw.
I don't think that happens. You're basically talking, because I'm assuming if it's Canelo, then Canelo's going to want to fight in May. So you're basically talking about you fought one time in 2 years going into that fight, and you're 2 years older. You're moving up in weight class, like you said. Canelo's comfortable with that weight. You have to get accustomed to that weight, carrying around that weight. I don't think that's good for Bud. It's a payday.
It's a huge payday.
It's probably his biggest payday. So
no doubt his biggest payday.
But I don't think I don't think he wins, and losing doesn't help his legacy.
Okay.
So,
like I say, at 154. What you gonna fight? Like you say Boots. Boots is good, very good.
That's a good fight.
It's not a box office.
It's not Alvarez.
Maybe Charlo, but that he name value.
See that now, Charlo he messed up by trying to jump up and fight Canelo. He didn't look the part. Alvarez looked bigger, and he just.
But he took the challenge. He took the challenge,
and he got his ass kicked.
Yeah, it wasn't.
He got the payday.
But that was his
I think skill wise, Bud is better than Charlo, and I think confidence wise, that's the fight he wants.
Now, if I'll say this, if he would have knocked Israel out, then I've been like, okay, your power traveled, like Roy Jones. Roy Jones' power traveled even up to light heavyweight.
You could get it differently.
It didn't travel. The dude didn't get hurt.
I agree.
He got lit up, but he wasn't. He said himself he's not hurt. Canelo's not going to get hurt.
I just think if you want to go for the biggest payday, the biggest fight, you do everything in your power to aim for that Canelo fight. But right now, if he's happy with, he's 37 years old. He's not a young man. You know what I mean? Like, you go for the Spences, man. Win, lose, or draw. That's it.
If that's his last fight, or one of his last big fight, then like you said, it's the payday. You do what you gotta do.
You can always fight Terrence Crawford. I mean, Earl Spence. Like, come on, guys. Like, we've
Do you
seen
think
it.
Earl Spence is gonna fight again? So,
Well, I would hope the year off will be good for him. He looked like shit in that fight. So argument could be made if he was 100%, that's a different fight. Walking to the ring, we talked about this. The guy that looked like he was prepared to fight. I'm sorry. He was drugged or something wasn't right with the guy. He looked like Martin after that Tommy Hearns fight. You know what I mean? Like, it just didn't look right. I'm sorry. Anyway, let's finish up the night with something near and dear to all of our hearts. This past weekend was WWE SummerSlam. And, we talked about, we're going to talk a little pro wrestling here on this show. And at the end of the card, the original Tribal Chief made his return, helping Cody Rhodes to defeat Solo Sikoa and go on to retain his WWE Universal Championship. The question I have for everyone here on this panel, did anybody think Solo Sikoa deserved to be in that position, first of all? Second of all, what's the next step in this whole feud? Do they bring The Rock back now? Do you set up the new bloodline versus the old bloodline? Where are we going with this thing? Justin, I'm going to start with you.
Do I think Solo deserved it? Yes. A little bit more so before Jacob showed up. I'll say that. But because Jacob is a beast, not going to take anything away from him.
That's the Tribal Chief.
He was doing what he was supposed to do. He was being a heel. You heard, besides the Romans chants, you heard Solo. So that was very prominent in the arena. So definitely that. And you got to think him and Cody was going back and forth for at least a strong 15 minutes before the bloodline rules kicked in a sense, right? And he was putting on a show. So I'm not knocking Solo. Solo's probably a little bit better off. Outside the ring, like his whole gold chain performance, that persona that he's putting out there, it's working. So I think he's doing well. Besides that, how do I think it's going to transpire? The Rock is coming, but I don't need him to come right now. We want to say that for WrestleMania. I think that's definitely that. You can let Cody hold the belt for an extended period of time. We want to stretch this bloodline thing out as far as possible because as soon as it's over, somebody's losing their world championship belt. It is what it is. So yeah, I just think you got to bring the original bloodline back together. I don't want to rush job with that either. I want them to slow down. I want to get main event Jey Uso back and Jimmy's coming back. I don't need them to all show up together on SmackDown or something like, hey, we all here together. No, you got to milk this thing because that's what we here for. And like I said, all this keeps Cody away from them, which means Cody can have the belt longer. That's what you want at the same time too. So it's multiple wins on multiple fronts, but getting and then we know Roman is going to Raw as well. Trust and believe Netflix is not signing on with this deal without having Roman. That's why that shirt that you see him with is black and red. It is not blue. I'm just saying.
But he will be on SmackDown this Friday.
He will be on SmackDown, but eventually he's coming.
January coming.
They're gonna do a draft in December.
So it's a wonderful thing, and I think if he stays over there, I think you keep the other bloodline on SmackDown. You split them up. You have them, and that way you're not seeing each other every single episode. That runs it down too fast. Slow this thing out. Triple H got this. I fully believe in Triple H and his story making, his storylines, because it's working up until this point.
Yeah. Calvin, your whole thoughts.
Look, I agree with a lot of what Justin said. I even was going back and forth on whether or not Fatu's injury was a sell or not, and then it made just to be able to think twice, and it made sense because you didn't want him to confront Roman. I'm of the opinion he's a double agent, but we'll see how that plays out. I'm loving everything Justin said. Slow down the storyline. You have 3 months to Survivor Series. You can easily build back up to the original bloodline at that point, and then you have basically 6 weeks until January 1st, and when Raw moves to Netflix. And I believe that's when you will see The Rock, and that's when you see Roman Reigns for the first time actually in the ring, leading up to WrestleMania of next year. So you have time to build a storyline. My only question becomes, what happens to Cody now when you have this original bloodline versus the new bloodline? Where does Cody's storyline go? Because you just can't have your champion, your working champion, off of TV for multiple weeks until the next pay-per-view. Now, so that'll be interesting. We saw today, you saw Gunther and Randy Orton. So you take Randy out of it, and I thought Randy was going to kind of lead into John Cena. So it's kind of becomes, what becomes of Cody? Obviously, I just led into, I think it's going to be Cena, but at least for the foreseeable future, for the next couple of months, you don't think so? Because you're from Peacemaker.
No, I think that he's not coming back till they get on Netflix.
Okay.
He already made the announcement that next year is going to be like his farewell tour.
Song,
yeah.
Right.
So I think he'll be there all next
wrestle
year.
The whole year, though.
Yeah, he's gonna be there the whole year. So I think he's gonna do nothing this year. I think your point about Cody is valid because the bloodline stuff, Roman's on SmackDown. Naturally, you would think that Roman would want revenge to get his title back, but I think you got to do something to get Roman off TV again. As fast as he's come back, I think, remember they moving SmackDown to USA in September. So you're going to want a big premiere. You got to have something huge for that. So that's why Roman's on SmackDown for when they move back to USA. They leaving Fox. So then you do something big, take Roman out of the picture, have him start. Paul Heyman can do the recruiting, recruit Jay, recruit Jimmy to come back, then go get Sami Zayn, and then you got your four. You got Roman, Usos, Sammy versus Jacob, his brothers, and Solo. And then later on, you find out The Rock is really the final boss. He was the behind all this. Yeah. You can build it up right. You just take your time and follow that. And Roman can't be an idiot, though. That's what you can't. You can't book him to be like he couldn't figure out that Rock was behind this. Because remember, you was doing little breadcrumbs about that earlier on, where they didn't, remember they was putting the fists up and Rock was doing the L sign like this instead, like loser. You know what I mean? Like it's little Easter eggs that they was dropping along the way that tells you that Rock wasn't with them. So anyway, I think you can draw this thing out all the way to Mania. But who's going to take against Cody? My bad. Go ahead.
I said the thing with Cody is Cody's going to have to, unfortunately, he's going to have to go through the Chris Jericho, the CM Punk, whereas though you could be a champion and you'll have a John Cena match against whoever over top of you.
Yep.
But you still got to be the person to show up every week, so on and so forth. I really did think they was going to feed him Randy Orton for a little bit, and they can play that out. But Kevin Owens is still out there. Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's just
turn him.
Huh? What was that?
You could turn KO and do a feud with Cody, but
yeah, it's something easy to carry Cody a little bit longer.
I think they're going to give him Andrade. I think Andrade will be a short little feud because
I think Andrade got at least won a U.S. title first.
Yeah,
I think he wants more than that, and you got to remember he's married to Charlotte Flair. She got a lot of pull in that company. He came back from AEW because he wanted to be in the main event. He tired of that mid card stuff. So I can see Andrade.
So you bump Logan Paul. So now now the belts for LA Knight.
Was that really because of his comments though? Or you think that was part of the plan the whole time?
No, he was always losing.
It's about time. It's about time.
He was always losing.
He only
remember they gave him out. His foot was underneath the rope, so he gonna get it back. You know what I mean? But it's like a little break for him. The key
but I thought that Andromeda was going to be with the, LA and the LA vibe, Carmelo. I think all of them was going to fight for it because now with Logan off of it, I think it has prestige a little bit more. So now you can fight for it, but then there's no one to go for.
That's what I'm saying.
The main one. So
I think you got to bump somebody up to the top tier, and the only options is either pick up. I thought Jacob Fatu was going to be the one, but if he's hurt. You know what I mean? I can see a feud with Cody and Jacob Fatu. That could actually be pretty good because Fatu is excellent.
I don't think he do it right now. Not while You're still
I
not
don't
while
think
you
he
have the
can win it,
bloodline feud.
but you can do it.
I
Like,
don't know.
because if Bloodline not fighting Roman every week on TV,
Correct.
you know what I mean? And they got a pay-per-view called Bad Blood in Germany. You put somebody in there who's a good worker. You can do your little Bloodline rules stuff.
Rematch with Solo?
Interference. Nah, I think Solo's. They treated Solo bad every week. Solo was getting his ass whipped every week on TV, and Jacob Fatu had to save him. Think about it. Go back and look. Every week on TV, Solo out there getting his ass whipped. He never looked like that monster he used to look like. Remember, Solo was saving Roman every time. But recently, he had been getting his ass whipped.
But Roman didn't win. Roman didn't win clean for what, 2 years until Jey Uso. So it's kind of the same. It's the same thing.
But Roman never looked weak. You know what I mean? They was making Solo look like an average guy.
You could make the argument Roman was weak because he couldn't win clean, and I think that's where everyone was going with it until he left, and now it's kind of like there was this void that wasn't filled while Roman was gone. So it's looked at completely differently now versus 4 months ago.
The worst thing, and I think, like I said, I don't. This is the only thing I'm pushing back with Triple H and the storylines. I honestly think that it should have been Randy of confronting Cody. That it makes too much sense. And then whoever you feed into Gunther, like they're going to lose at Germany. Like it's not even a thought process. You know, they're going to lose. So I would have definitely chose somebody else other than Randy to take that L. For that.
Well, that's the problem with the brand split. They split. Why did you put Cody on SmackDown when that's where the bloodline is at? I would have kept Cody on Raw, put CM Punk and Drew on SmackDown, and then that way, you know, Gunther and Cody should be the ones wrestling over the title. Like I a lot of the way they split up the roster makes no sense. So I'm looking at the SmackDown roster right now. Who's even a possible contender for Cody right now? And I'm looking at Bobby Lashley's leaving. You got Andrade, Jacob Fatu, Kevin Owens. If you got to turn him heel, it's slim pickings, bruh. Well, Randy Orton is on SmackDown. That would have been the guy.
But he was on Raw tonight.
No. That's why it would have been him. That would have sufficed for another 2 months.
Nakamura, which he already beat.
We'll see. Yeah. We'll see come Friday. But
that's it.
Because that's it.
The Randy Orton feud would make most sense. They got history with the old Legacy group. Everything made sense for
that. You know, even though Ted DiBiase in jail for fraud, but and then they fed Seth Rollins to Big Boy tonight.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to watch anything.
I did understand. Yeah, I did understand.
Braun Breaker?
No, not Braun Breaker.
No.
Braun Strowman.
No.
Shit.
Braun.
Somebody. White guy, dark black beard, real King Kong Bundy-ish.
Okay, he won?
No, he just fucked him up.
He just squashed him.
It wasn't a match. Okay, gotcha.
No, he just came out there and beat his
ass.
I
like that. That's a good little match. The whole thing's over.
Right. So if you got that going, and then you got
the
Judgment Day feud.
Yeah, Bronson Reed.
I can see the splits, and then you got Gunther. So is Randy gonna be on Raw now?
I didn't know Randy showed up tonight, so I'm confused.
Randy showed up tonight
to challenge
Gunther.
He on SmackDown
because of the King of the Ring and how that was shaky.
It was. That
was his way. So you pulled Randy from SmackDown to put him in Raw. Are you going to keep that? Is he going to show up every week now on Raw? Somebody on Raw going to go over there? I don't know what he's doing right now.
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. That's interesting. We filming on a Monday, guys, and normally I'd be watching Wrestling Monday. But this is very interesting. But we've gone way over our time tonight. But these shows where we say we ain't got much to talk about, we sure do have a lot to talk about, dog. Any final words? I think we've said enough words, but any final words? I'll start with you, Calvin.
We come back next week. Olympics are over. First week of preseason, football is back.
Mm-hmm.
We can kind of start deep diving in divisions, but that's it.
Yeah, Justin.
shout out to Novak Djokovic in tennis for winning the only thing that he eluded him the whole entire time, his whole career. He's arguably the greatest tennis player of all time. So the fact that he finally won gold was the last thing he needed to put on his mantle. So shout out to him to doing that. It was just a wonderful sight to see the joyful emotion afterwards.
Great stuff. And as far as me, it's a couple topics that we left off the docket, but I honestly don't think we need to talk about some divisive things that have been talked about over the past week. All I'm going to say is, guys, if you're going to go on social media and share different stories, make sure you vet them. Make sure you read up on things. Make sure you go and research and get all the information before you just start spreading misinformation all over the place. That is what is going on with this election. That's what's going on with a lot of things in our country these days. We see a meme, we see something, and we just share it without reading, without finding out more details, and then we got to pull retractions later and stuff like that. Read and research before you go out here just making these outlandish statements. And we've seen it at the highest level. We've seen some big time media members who we respect. What we will not do on this show is go out here and just say things without really trying to look into it first, or just say we don't know. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to go out here. And if you were looking for our opinions on boxing and the women ranks and should this person even be allowed and all that, I don't think we need to touch that here and get off the damn fence. Not that we straddle on the fence, but if we're not fully researched on everything, we don't want to jump out here and just make outlandish statements. And we here for everybody. That's how I think we need to run this show around here. Everybody agreement with that? All right.
Yeah.
Nothing further to say. Don't say nothing crazy, Justin, and say it in your eye. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning us tonight. And we'll see you next week. We'll be back on Tuesday next week. Thanks for joining us.
We talk about everything, man. All sports related.
Have a good
men, women.